Hello, I'm Peter Purvis. You're listening to Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and landed at episode number 114. And it's the reign of terror. Hallelujah, it's the reign of terror. I'm Keith.
My brain's trying to catch up to what just happened.
You weren't ready, were you?
Honestly. Was that what I think it was? That horrible song from the 80s? Is that where you went with it?
No, 70s.
Was it from the 70s?
Disco.
No, 80s. According to this,
What does it
I'm
say?
seeing 82, 83.
Yeah, that's what I
What?
meant.
Raining Men came from 1980?
Yeah, from the Weather
I
Girls.
thought that was
You
in the disco.
totally
era.
went to the Weather Girls for your open?
I did.
Wow.
You want to know my alternate? It's even worse.
I'm not sure if I'm impressed or frightened right now, quite honestly.
Honestly, it was Sarah's idea. I was like, I need an open for this one because mine's lame.
Okay,
and she's like,
that explains it.
Oh, wait a minute. now he's like shifting the blame. Suddenly,
No,
he's not going to own up for it. Oh, it was Sarah's fault.
I think it's
not gonna
I thought it was a brilliant
not
idea.
going to protect his woman. It was Sarah's fault.
Sarah gave me the inspiration for it. And I laughed, and I said, that's great. I'm going to do that. It was better than my, and now animated, open.
Oh, that
Could be animated.
You had an animated open?
No,
So it couldn't be animated.
I wanted to see an animated open. That would have been cool.
it's an audio. We're always animated.
And then we're never animated, too, at the same time.
So wait, you're telling me this was the week I should have brought the sock puppet?
That's not animation.
That's
The
not,
little bag for the...
Puppeteering.
yeah,
That had to start sometime.
unless it was clay.
I'm Sean.
I'm disappointed in that open.
Why?
Because he went there.
Are you disappointed that he went there or that I called him out on it?
No, I was going to call him out, and you're not. So.
Well, I didn't mean to call him out on it, but
He did the Candyman, and I was so impressed with that one. That was so clever.
I put more work into that one,
He said,
too.
yeah. And then Raining Terror. It's the reign of terror. Hallelujah.
It's going to be stuck in your heads now, though.
No, it
I
won't.
hate you forever.
No, it won't. I'm Glenn.
It's there now, and I hate you forever.
Well, you're going to replace it with our feedback song.
Eventually.
Which is...
Oh. How was you guys this week?
He let it slip so we know.
Yeah.
That's all right.
No
It'll be a
surprise
surprise
this
for the
week.
listeners, though.
We still don't know what
We
lyrics
haven't
he's
heard
going to
lyrics,
sing.
yeah. We just know what it's going to be, too.
I'm totally going to cue up a different song now. Just
And try to do the lyrics that you're writing.
I am shoehorn this in somewhere. It'll fit.
Oh, what'd you guys do this week?
Not a whole lot. Had to work overnight Thursday or Friday morning.
I can tell you what we didn't do this week because it's underneath this tablecloth.
Finish the puzzle?
Yeah, we started it though.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's hard.
How can it be hard? I mean, I guess it's all of the same kind of pattern inside.
It's all blue and yellow.
It's all
We have the exploding Van Gogh or
exploding TARDIS.
exploding
from
TARDIS. An exploding Van Gogh would be bad.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
Can I do golf?
It's not. It's Gogh.
They say Goff.
No, it's Gogh. You don't do the.
So the H is
They
silent?
said it on.
No, it's not really silent. You're saying it. It's just
The
you're doing it at
H
the back of your throat. Van Gogh.
Van Gogh.
No.
So he's Klingon?
It's not German. Van Gogh. It's that French back of your throat thing. I don't know. It's bizarre.
You took French. Explain this to us.
It's not a French name, but it's.
I got
it's,
a D.
You do that back of the throat F
Well,
thing. That they
he is
do.
Dutch,
I know, but
so
what I'm
that's
saying.
where probably why it's Dutch. Dutch is very close to
it's
German
not-
in language.
No, it's not the hard Germanic.
but it's close.
V
It's Van Gogh.
N G
Van Gogh.
Phlegm.
I don't know. Anyway,
The puzzle.
they're doing a puzzle.
Difficult. Sean got
Puzzle hard.
Sean got the puzzle at
Pretty
at the
colors.
grab bag last year.
Hulk angry. Tiny
Thanks.
pieces. That was part of my grab bag, and Keith and Sarah had us over, and
We liberated it from him before he moved, and
Yeah.
I've had it in the closet since then. And hadn't started it.
well, because they've got this weird thing where they put puzzles together and then they take them back apart.
Yeah, what's the deal with
I
that?
don't know. That's weird.
That way you can put them together again later.
Do you ever?
Yeah, I've done my lost ones
Do you
several
ever?
times. Yeah,
All right.
I always have.
If you do it over and over again, I suppose.
I'm sorry. The amount of effort.
It's the thing.
Now-
Though. You get an itch to do a puzzle. You go to the closet. You get the puzzle
On
instead
the
of
flip
going
side,
to buy one. It's
on the flip
cost
side of
effective.
that, Keith, in your defense, I had a stack of puzzles that I had never hung up or done anything with, and I threw them out because they were glued together. What am I going to do with them besides hang them up? I know somebody who still has a stack of puzzles
See,
that he
and
has sitting
especially
somewhere that he's never hung up.
especially
And
with
it's-
this one,
I have a house now, though.
Yeah, but it's like you get them hung up, and then I'll say, okay,
I have to
did
put
something
walls
with
in
the
my
puzzle.
But
basement.
especially
Painted
with
them.
this poster
them.
or this puzzle, I have a 32 by or a 24 by 36 poster of this image.
Yeah.
I don't need the puzzle to put up, so I can borrow his puzzle, do it, and give it back to him.
Yeah, that's true.
I just.
I take the joy for me is in doing
I'm
the
hurt
puzzle.
that I didn't get invited to help with this puzzle, but
well,
we can do this after the podcast because it's still here.
It's
And it's not very
should-
far
we could
along.
videotape us doing the puzzle while we do the podcast.
we could use.
Every week we have a different puzzle. Do you think we can find enough Doctor Who puzzles?
They have quite a few.
We might have to be on this one for a few weeks. but
Every week we'd be doing a puzzle. It'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
And different.
The puzzle-
Nobody ever think of it. Oh, shh.
Oh wait! Oh, spoilers.
Puzzle pod puzzle. Puzzle cast. I like
Puzzling the
Puzzlecast.
vortex. Oh, wait.
Puzzling the vortex. I like that too.
Okay, I'll go with
We just call it puzzled.
we are. He is.
Well, and if we talk about other things in Doctor Who, we can have a puzzle related to that topic.
Yeah. Lost.
I have lost puzzles.
Nah, we're not doing Lost.
Ever.
You know what's frustrating about the lost puzzles? You don't have what the image is.
That it's missing pieces.
No,
You get to the end and you still don't know what it's supposed to look like.
there's no image. But then you flip it over, and it's a quarter of the blast shield map under blacklight.
So why didn't you just put it together?
I can never find the
back
fourth one
side?
because it's black light. I can't see that.
You don't have a black light in your closet?
No. I'm not 17.
Did you go to a movie?
We didn't.
You didn't. We didn't make it to the movie either.
I spent 3 hours fighting with my printer.
Oh, that's right. You did. Did you make it to the movie this
didn't go
weekend?
to a movie
No.
either.
We all talked about going to the movie this weekend, and none of us went.
And I recovered from working overnight and staying
Yeah,
up for
that's
21 21 hours and then
Ouch.
getting 6 hours of sleep. So I slept most of Saturday.
Ouch.
We had because I've been on this tear with trying to go through my shelf and actually watch these movies that I haven't watched yet that I own. And so we've gone through like 6 or 7 of them. And so we geared up. We were going to do one last night after we got done because you guys were going to watch a TV show. And I kind of asked
Yeah, we
myself,
watched West Wing.
You want to watch an episode of Batman or something? She goes, no, I'm staying up later than that. We're going to watch a movie. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So we got home and we were all set to do something, a movie, and then just all of a sudden switched gears because we had Katrina this weekend, and I thought to myself, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That's the one. All of a sudden, it just like a bolt of lightning. God spoke. Said, you should watch Roger Rabbit. I said, okay. And I kind of explained to him. I was like, well, she might actually pay
Did she
attention to
stay
that.
up?
Yeah, she was still up at that point. Are you kidding?
Wow.
She was wired for sound.
You know what it was? That chocolate milk.
There's the chocolate milk and the little piece of
The
cookie I gave
the
her.
first time she ever had chocolate milk.
Ah.
Yeah, big weekend for her.
Ooh.
So,
So no wonder she was up all
Bouncing
night.
off the walls. And
we get down, and Katrina's not. She doesn't watch TV. I mean, she'll kind of sort of. She's aware that there's flickering images and colors, but that's she's not into.
Well, when she's tired, she sits there with Grandma and will watch Who for Friday Night Who.
And then she falls asleep in her
Yeah.
arms. But again, I don't think it's
It's not sinking in.
cognitively aware of anything.
it's just it's sensory
Yeah.
stimulation is what it is.
So we booted up Roger Rabbit, and we started watching this. And it's been years since I saw this movie. And then I got depressed because it's 25 years old this year. And I remember seeing this in the theater, and I started doing math, and that was a bad time for all. But I look over, and she's on the couch. I mean, just glued, just riveted. And the cartoon characters would kind of go away, and there would be a scene with just people, and she'd kind of start to get this bored look, and then Roger Rabbit would show back up. and just.
So it's a perfectly crafted film to keep a kid's attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing.
Have you tried it with your kids?
Wish I'd have known that before I'd gone to Disney World. I could have picked up a Roger Rabbit plush. They actually still had some.
They still have them?
Yeah, in Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, she was glued as. Now, she didn't make it all the way through. She got to about... And I don't remember.
But at her age...
Yeah, well, and at 3 in the morning, So, but then I happened to look back over. She was like... just completely spread eagle, sprawled out on top of Grandma on the couch. And we laughed so hard over that. The movie ended, and it was like... Or before even got to that, it was like, well, let's get her to bed. So, pause. Okay, how do we do this? I can't move. All right, so I kind of scooped her up, and... It was like, the scene in the movies where they carry the dead guy to the other room? It just sprawled out all the way to the crib, into the bed, put her down, and she went, grabbed the blanket, and rolled over. It was like, I'm done. It was awesome.
Gone.
That was kind of the whole week summed up right there. That's pretty much it.
What'd you do, Glenn?
Worked all week, and then yesterday, Caitlin had her last basketball game of the year, so we went to that. And then actually, before they won. This is the first game they won all year. First game and last game all year. That's great.
You want to know a weird serendipity? That was at Western Hills Baptist Church.
It was
my old church.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's way out there.
Yeah, it is.
Out there in your
Not to be confused with Westboro.
No,
right.
not to be confirmed.
Westboro Baptist.
Just to throw that out there before...
Not a Fred Phelps church.
No.
Before John Barrowman-sized rumors start circulating about Keith.
Hyper local, by the way. We went to this College Hill Pizza Pub. Have you been there yet?
How was that?
Sweet.
Wow.
Good?
I liked it.
Is it good?
I liked it. The family was okay with it. They say, it's pretty good. I loved it. They had this what's called Joey bread, which is their cheese breadstick, which was awesome. Their pizza's great. They use pepper jack. Well, you can put either cheddar or pepper jack on it, like as your final topping, but or your final cheese. Pepper jack's awesome. I didn't know that.
I wouldn't think of pepper jack on pizza.
Good. Gosh, it was so good. Yeah, that was great. I loved it.
Is it like deep dish or regular?
No, it's just little 10-inch round flat pizzas. That's it. The little thin, just 10. That's all they sell.
Well,
10-inch
like
rounds.
Basic is $5,
but they're $5. Yeah,
I think it's like 5 of them.
Yeah, well, it's $5 for a 10. And well, we bought 2. We got one for Holly and I, one for the kids, and the bread, and that was plenty. Now the drinks are a little steep. It was like $2 for a large Coke, but yeah. So I think I drink water next time I go. But yeah, no, it's a phenomenal
you were off
price.
soda.
It was great. I am, but I had lemonade, or not lemonade, high C fruit punch.
Okay.
But yeah.
I had a Mountain Dew today.
Well, I went to Casa tonight, so I had a Dr. Pepper.
You have to have Dr. Pepper at Casa.
I know. It's gosh, it's so good. Anyway.
And I never go to Casa.
So we did that. Today we went to...
I'm jealous I didn't get invited to Casa.
Today we went to the Discovery Center. Took the kids there because we had a Groupon. They played there.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah. And then, you guys
How I
keep
keep
track of me all weekend because I was
keep
checking
up
in
with
everywhere.
How do you keep track of your friends? Twitter?
Then my mom
Facebook?
had her birthday was today, so we went over there this afternoon, celebrated her
Happy birthday
birthday.
to your mom. Tell her I said so.
Thank you.
Forgot.
And then of course went to Casa tonight. Well, that was it. Done. Oh, well, some pants shopping for Caitlin. So
Fun week.
it was a productive day. I didn't feel like we did anything this weekend, but I guess we did. We got the house cleaned yesterday too.
I actually got up decently early for a Sunday.
What, before
Your
noon?
sleep schedule's all messed
Before
up.
noon. Because at 1 o'clock we went to, some church. I don't know. Because this 15-year-old...
We got up and we went to some church. He points out here.
It's out there. I'd never been there before.
Not the one at the bottom of the hill.
Even as a photographer, I've never
Not
been
Sean's old church.
there. No.
Also not a Westboro Baptist church.
But
boy, Pentecostal as heck.
This 15-year-old to be a high school student, has been invited to go to Ireland and Scotland for the summer to take part in this bagpipe festival.
Sorry. I didn't mean to laugh. I don't know why that... I don't know why that struck me as funny.
And so he had like a fundraising concert where he played Highland bagpipes, and this other guy from Kansas City came in and played with him, and so we took Sarah's mom to that. It was pretty cool, actually.
We should have him on the show.
After he gets back.
What is with you laughing at bagpipes?
What's wrong with bagpipes?
I'm sorry. A bagpipe concert?
Yeah. Sarah just went to one the Friday you guys were at Galley. She went to this whole big blackguard thing in Lawrence, where it was a bunch of bagpipers.
They actually have a fairly large contingency here in Kansas of really bagpipers, believe it or not. There's like 12 really hardcore guys. I have a CD of bagpipe music. What is so weird about this? Give him a shout out.
The Black Watch, 3rd Battalion of the Royal Regiment of Scotland, and the Band of the Scots Guard came to the
That's
lead
far
center.
too long to put on a poster, but...
They came to the lead center a while ago.
You don't headbang to bagpipes, Glenn.
It was billed as an afternoon of traditional Scottish music.
Nor do you break dance to it, although I'm sure you can find a way.
Did you know there's different kinds of bagpipes?
I did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the big Highland stuff, but then this other guy came out with the smallest bagpipes, and it sounded very different. I was impressed. I learned something this morning.
No, you looked at me intentionally for me to laugh. Stop. I'm trying to get through this.
Bagpipes are cool.
Bagpipes are way cool.
I have
high five. Bagpipes are cool.
I have mad respect, especially for this kid's.
I'm refraining from saying anything bad about bagpipes because we have a lot of listeners over in the British Isles, and I don't want to offend anybody.
I've always been kind of bagpipes. They're kind of cool, but they only ever play Amazing Grace. But until this concert, I never noticed.
Not very well either. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Are you besmirching Wrath of Khan? Are we going to go down this road? I cannot listen to Amazing Grace played on bagpipes without crying. To this day,
a lot of people have that reaction.
I cannot. In fact, I made a Space Tunes CD for a friend where I put Rocket Man and Space Oddity and Major Tom and that kind of stuff. I just made a whole CD full of Space Tunes, and at the end of the CD, I put Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. And he called me up angry because he was in his car listening to this.
Not because it wasn't Space Tunes, because you made him cry.
And because I made him cry. He had to stop the car because he started weeping over Spock being... I can't say because Chrissy hasn't watched them yet. But he started... Spoilers, Chrissy. So, yeah. The power of bagpipes.
They are powerful instruments. And
if they'd offer that as a class of Washburn, I would take bagpipes.
The 3 different variations the bagpipes played... I always just, it was just bagpipes. I never realized I always thought bagpipes could only hit certain notes and that was about it. But these smaller bagpipes can do a whole lot more.
I think if I remember correctly, and
I don't know, cat whales have a huge range.
So do didgeridoos.
I may be speaking out of turn here because I know that there's different kinds, but I don't know enough about the specs on them. But I think it's kind of you start on the big ones and then you graduate down, and the smaller ones are more difficult to play because they do so much more stuff. I think I don't know.
That would make sense because there's more notes to try to control. And the guy from Kansas City that played, didn't blow into the bagpipes. What?
Go ahead.
He used a flume.
Oh, one of the squeeze box kind of things, like an accordion almost.
Like you would use old time to pump a fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bellows pump.
Yeah. That's essentially what it was.
What is with you?
Sorry. The imagery is just... Sorry.
Bagpipes is apparently a hot button issue for Glenn.
Apparently he has no respect for Scottish culture.
Apparently not. Moldwich,
how did you make
call
it through,
us with your thoughts.
How did you make it through Brave? There were bagpipes galore in that.
Make it through Braveheart.
Well, and Sarah's mother entered a drawing.
She won a copy of Braveheart at the Bagpipe Festival.
No, she won a copy of...
Bagpipe lessons?
No. A water painting of the William Wallace statue outside of the church.
Ooh, that's way cool. Wait, is this outside the church you went to, or is this outside the William Wallace statue?
It's a water painting of the William Wallace statue.
That's way cool.
Done by a Topeka artist. I don't know how that works. I don't know.
That's still way cool.
It's a really, really cool painting. It was like the big ticket. It was
painting's cool.
There was
painting.
There
is cool.
was a single malt Scotch and this, and these were like the two big.
Oh,
Hey, did you bring that bottle of
I didn't bring that
Smart?
Scotch. I forgot.
Those were the big raffle items. It was an enjoyable hour. That's how long the concert went. It was an hour.
I will never use bagpipes and enjoyable in the same phrase.
Why?
Okay.
Bagpipes rock.
No respect.
Yes, they do. I have a whole bag of bagpipes right here. I will pull it out. I probably have some in my iTunes. I
You have
can
a
pull it
bag
right
of
now.
bags.
I have a bag of bagpipes. If I didn't have my iTunes queued up, I could totally pull out some bagpipe music right this very instant. I could.
It's not something I would listen to every day.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's something. It's something to randomly listen to or to go see in person.
It's not something you
Hearing
queue
it in
up
person
on the,
is
on
very
the
different.
radio, and I'm driving to work. I wonder if the bagpipe station's on, but it's just, you know.
Light bulbs. Moving on.
Hey, this is more on topic than light bulbs.
Better than gutters. I did have a friend.
It's at least in the UK.
Here's an image for you. I had a friend, and we were teasing him because he was going on and on and on about. You ever have those weird conversations with your friends, like funeral arrangements? When I die, I want this. We got into this really deep conversation once with some friends, and he was like, "I want bagpipes played at my funeral. This is my thing. I've always wanted to do this big. I want the full progression and the flags and the thing, and a lot of not just one bagpiper. I want a lot of bagpipers." And we're like, "Okay." And that'll be cool in this. And he says, "Oh, and I want to be cremated, and you guys can go and scatter my ashes afterwards." And my mother starts cackling with laughter because this image has hit her. And he's like, "What?" And in between gasping for breath, she manages to sputter out, "We could load the bagpipe with your ashes and kill two birds with one stone." Then we're all on the floor laughing. And he got he was not amused with this image. And I've never seen, my mother's she's not the most on top of an individual. I love my mom, but she's not quite but she stopped laughing long enough to go, and that sent us into another bit of hysterics again.
Oh, wow.
I'd never seen one bagpipe performed by itself. It's always been like a troupe. I had no idea that it has such a variety of noises that it makes.
Yeah.
I thought each bagpipe
Okay, we're still talking.
was attuned to a certain pitch.
Well, when you hear them as a troupe and you get that noise, you kind of it's like an orchestra tuning up. It's just noise.
Yeah, and then
but it's not.
And then each one has their own pitch.
Yeah.
But no, one bagpipe does all of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why there's troops. That's what I've determined. There's no need for troops.
Pipe with friends.
Well, practice with friends, perform on your own, get more money. Become a solo act.
Nobody would pay big bucks to go see a solo bagpipist.
If they're really good, you never know.
Name one major bagpiper.
I can't name.
See,
I can only name the 15-year-old I went and watched today.
There you go. See, but you know the troupe.
Now you're arguing my point.
Well,
No, because
Sarah
that's how
went
they
to that.
perform.
All right.
There's more to that than bagpipes.
You could argue
There's
classic
Scottish
pianists.
drums
talk
and
far
You could
enough
talk
about that.
Hey, you know what? Chopin. I went and saw
Railing
Chopin.
it back in, yeah.
But you get bagpiper. But
Another
as a
thing that we
troupe,
all
would be
did
cool.
this week is a friend of the show, Brittany.
Yes.
She came up with a very, very clever and fun, just kind of impromptu one day. She posted on a blog. Happened to catch it, and I went, hey, that's cool. The ABC.
Hey, I pointed out to you.
Everybody
Did you point it
post.
to me?
I pointed out
Oh,
to you.
okay. Well, anyway, I
'Cause I
thought it was cool. After Keith pointed it out, I thought it was cool. She's doing a Doctor Who photo challenge, and it's called The ABCs of Doctor Who. And we're on day 6 now. We just posted F, right?
Well,
F was today.
we're about to start.
Are you kidding
day
me?
7?
Yeah, day 7 actually just now. Ticked over to 12. So, it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, Brittany, you cheated.
Did she steal yours?
No, well, okay, I guess she didn't. 39 minutes ago, she posted, and Mel planned on staying up till midnight tonight so that she could post hers, and I forget Brittany's East Coast.
Brittany posted hers in the right time
and
zone.
she did steal Mel's idea.
What'd she do? I gotta get in here. Let's see.
G.
Yeah, let's see, but that's cheating too.
No, it isn't.
That goes along the same lines of my. Or did she just do Gallifrey? She didn't do Gallifrey 1.
She didn't do
Gallifrey 1.
She did Gallifrey 1. G is for Gallifrey 1.
Yeah, that goes along the lines of how I pointed yours was kind of not really officially. It can't be fan connected, in my opinion. But
It's Brittany's challenge. So
that's true. Apparently, friend of the show, Simon Fisher Becker, is okay now because she made the game. She sets the rules. So
did you see that Colton did Frobisher for F?
Oh, I didn't see Colton's. That's a good one.
Frobisher's really good.
The penguin?
Yeah. No, really?
For those that don't know,
Frobisher was also a character on X-Files and Lone Gunman.
That's true.
Or
But that wouldn't be part of the
it could have been
ABCs of Doctor
Torchwood.
Who. That wouldn't be ABC's of Doctor Who.
Chrissy updated her blog to say you can include Sarah Jane Adventures in Torchwood.
Brittany did?
Brittany did.
Oh.
It's Doctor Who.
Brittany.
Same universe.
She said it's the ABCs of the Doctor Who universe. It's her photo
Her game,
challenge.
Whatever.
Of course you could do Torchwood.
Nah, I
Yeah,
don't think
absolutely.
Torchwood, Sarah Jane should count. But okay, they are in the Who universe.
When you do your own photo challenge, you set up the rules.
You make up your own
and
rules.
we'll
All
play
right,
by 'em.
I'm sticking to the
You
just,
do it,
just Doctor
and
Who,
you can do
so.
the photo challenge your own way.
Yeah, I am doing this photo challenge. Mom.
Mel's going to be mad.
Brittany has a knack of stealing people's.
She's a whole hour ahead of us. She gets to post hers sooner.
Actually, maybe Mel got hers.
Anyway,
posted.
good job,
she
Brittany. We
hasn't yet.
are enjoying
She
the
hasn't
photo
yet.
challenge, and we'll hopefully continue through the rest of the month. Well, rest of the 26 days. 26? Yeah, 26 letters down.
So if you're out there and would like to participate, the hashtag is...
ABC, the ABCs of Doctor Who, and we're hashtagging with Doctor Who Photo Challenge. So,
And you can join in, and if you want to go ahead and play catch-up, sure.
you only got 6 to do.
We got 6 to do.
Well, 7 once you hear this.
A, B, C, D, E, F. And now today is G, which if Glenn gets posted on the feeds on Monday, Monday is G.
Yeah, it should get posted.
It should
There
get
be a
posted
problem.
today.
Unless we get long-winded and I have to do some clever editing. Well,
Which is always possible.
bagpipes talk happens quite a bit. Bagpipes. News.
Well, first up in the news, as we posted on our website, the missing episodes of the Ice Warriors are going to be animated.
Wait, what?
Yeah! It will also still include the telesnap version of the episodes appeared in the 1998 VHS release. So you get both versions, which I think is a really cool
That
idea.
is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
But they've contracted with Queros,
Yeah, I think you're right,
Queros, an award-winning animation and visual effects production studio based in London and Newcastle, who's worked on other Who stuff, but not an actual Who episode.
Right.
They did Who Peter stuff. And they went with this other company as opposed to the Reign of Terror and 10th Planet, partially because they want the visual styles to reflect the different directors that they had during the era.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will. Okay, I'm
Makes
on board
sense.
with that.
Totally
now.
makes sense.
And
I was very angry. I think I was very vocal about it when we heard Reign of Terror was not going to be Cosgrove Hall. I didn't know that
Well,
they'd gone out of business.
yeah,
Yes, they did go out of
Cosgrove Hall
business.
went under in 2009.
That may have necessitated a change. But I was very angry when I heard that because I want them to all be uniform. But that
See, and-
makes sense to me. I will buy that for $1.
And this animation, did you watch the clip?
The Ice Warrior animation
Yeah.
looks much closer to the Cosgrove
It
Hall
does.
animation.
It really does. It has that
And
So
my
it's-
humble, well, we'll get there, but I think it's a lot better than...
My impression
So it's
was
like they're keeping an era to...
that's what it
the
wasn't
same
necessarily
style.
the director. It was
It's
more
the
of
era.
the doctor. Yeah, the era of the doctor. So
Well, the
that's
quote
kinda
from Dan Hall is, "The Doctor Who had many visual styles thanks to changing directors, designers, and production methods. We wanted to mirror this in our choice of animation partners."
cool. Oh, so that makes sense. That's what they're doing.
So
And the
when-
Ice
when
Warriors
when are you
releases
animating
August
Shada?
26th. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think it's going to happen.
Glenn brought that up, and I said,
The difference is
the difference is because there is no... They would have
there's no
to...
surviving audio.
Yeah.
They would have to
They'd have to
reassemble the
re-record,
cast
which-
and re-record.
Yeah.
Ian Levine has done
And has
and
the
has
rights
audio
to...
recordings, but that's
I know. We went over that.
with the exception of Tom, who apparently there's a very good sound alike that does his part. So
But still.
I think we got
I'd
enough
love to see
versions of
that,
Shot.
especially now that Shot has been released. I think Ian should just say, "Hey, here's how it could have been done better."
Lightning has just struck my brain.
Okay.
Let's animate all of the Big Finish stories.
Ooh, that would be a way to get more Eighth Doctor.
Us three.
Yeah, just us three.
No.
We'll use South Park style animation. We'll cut out construction
Knock
paper
one out a
heads,
week. No problem.
and we can do that. No, why not?
Oh my God! They killed the Doctor! You bastards!
Big Finish didn't get credited for the audio for this. I mean, so maybe
Hey, how cool that would
they're
be.
stepping into that direction.
500 new stories. What are they up to now?
I don't know.
I don't know. This is a lot.
A lot.
I think it'd be cool.
Anyway,
My parents
August
said that.
26th, the Ice Warriors.
I think that is. Now, here's the other thing that I think is really, really cool, because we covered this when they announced the DVD release, and correct me if I'm wrong, BBC specifically said, this is the version you're getting. Now, they didn't lie to us, because we are getting that version, but we're also getting...
Well, the release details didn't specify
No, it
which
didn't.
version we were getting.
I thought
No,
it did.
Everyone
Ice Warriors,
was
we
just
didn't-
speculating.
yeah,
They just
I
said
thought
Ice
we read
Warriors are
somewhere,
coming.
though, that it specifically said it's the same as the VHS.
I don't
retcon.
recall that.
I
don't
remember
recall that, but I don't
saying we
recall that.
assume it's the...
Okay, well, never mind then. At any rate, so they announced it for August, and then they announced that it's going to be animated. So obviously the animation has already been in progress.
And you get a
Okay.
preview.
So we've gotten, just this year, we got Reign of Terror released, animated, with 2 segments. We got the announcement of 10th Planet.
Which
going
will
to be
come
Which will
out
happen.
this week.
They s-
Or this
This year.
Year.
This
They
year.
said it
Not
will be
this
out
week.
by the end of this year.
animated. We get the announcement of Ice Warriors in August, animated, which, again, work's already been in progress. You know what this tells me? This tells me that the BBC is actively going to go forward. They may already have other projects, or at least things in the pipeline
That's certainly
that
quite
hasn't
possible. Yeah.
hasn't been announced yet. And I think we're going to start seeing... I think this is where To Entertain may be heading with. We're going to get some special edition releases of some stuff that's already come out, but I think the bulwark of what's going to be coming from now on is animated missing episodes.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
I could see that.
that is true. However, you did see last week, I think it was hooked with this announcement of the Ice Warriors, that they will not, at least at this time, they don't have any plans of animating anything that's missing more than 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
knock out all the 2 episodes first, and then start working longer term. I mean, that makes sense to me. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way.
it's hopeful thinking, wishful thinking, but I
Well, obviously, I mean, in a perfect world scenario,
How many
we'll
special
find them.
editions can they release of other stuff? They're going to run out of stuff.
well, agreed, but I mean,
Just in a perfect world scenario, we'll find the missing episodes.
Well,
So
yeah.
and then it'll come out,
in a
and
perfect
everybody,
world scenario, yeah.
and everybody will be happy. But again, making do with the best of what we've got. I mean, yeah, I'm totally for. I don't care. Oh, it's missing 2 episodes. Fine, give it to me.
No, absolutely. I love this idea of
I'm
animating all the
Ready.
2 episode titles. I think that's a great idea. I don't have a problem with that at all.
You know who they ought to get is the Hanna-Barbera animation from the old Star Trek cartoon. I think that's how Doctor Who. ought to be done.
To me that's very similar to the
It's very
second
Doctor
Doctor
Console
Who.
Hall
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
That's how I'd like to see it done.
yeah, no, absolutely. I would agree.
But we're kind of tipping our hand to what we thought of Reign of Terror, so
We'll get there.
we'll get there.
BBC has also released a new image, a promotional image for the return of Doctor Who, March 30th. And it features the Doctor, Clara, on a motorcycle and a bunch of broken glass.
Now,
But in the broken glass, we have glimpses of 4 of the villains we will encounter this season, including the Cybermen, the Ice Warriors, what most are assuming are the Spoonheads from the premiere, and another creature, 2 other creatures that have not been named.
According to Sean, it has been.
Yeah, according to Sean, it has been. Who's going to be completely wrong?
He also thinks he sees a Dalek in there.
2 words. March 30th.
you think the other two are going to be?
I think one of them is a Sycorax, and I think one of them might be the Trickster.
I wasn't giving that to you to look at. I was giving that for me for reference later. So,
Oh. I'm going to read it.
no, go ahead.
I've never seen the Trickster wear a top hat before.
He can't have a fashion sense.
I've seen him 3 times now.
You
He
also
hasn't.
haven't seen episodes or season 4 or 5 of Sarah Jane. So,
True, but
There's season 5.
Well,
Partial.
The partial.
Oh, it is part. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. You're right.
yeah.
You're right.
half of a
I was
season.
thinking 4 was it, but yeah,
No,
that's.
no, there's a 5. We need to get back on that, too.
Yeah.
I'm not in charge of that. You're in charge of the schedule.
Yeah, I know, but we kind of got wrapped up with 50th anniversary stuff.
A little bit.
Here's what I think is interesting. Now, all of
Podcast isn't going anywhere, so.
that's true. What I think is interesting about this image is that
And it's not going anywhere fast enough.
we keep getting these movie style, which I love. Keep that up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm fine
Do you
with
get the impression that this one is not? This is kind of the season.
Yeah.
It's not
it
for
is.
the next episode. It's kind of an all-encompassing splash poster, not.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
Certainly.
saying? Like
Yeah,
the Western
certainly.
style one for the Western episode and the.
Sure.
Yeah, this isn't just for the next episode. This is kind of because if it is, wow, that's a busy episode.
Aside from...
There's a lot of stuff
It,
going
it takes a
on in there.
lot from the first episode, but it drops hints for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Which excites me even more because that means we'll get yet another. Hopefully, we'll get yet another
Think
teaser
they'll be riding
image.
on a motorcycle in the first episode.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen pictures
Have you?
of that.
Okay, it's a Triumph, isn't it? It's not just a motorcycle. It's got an official.
Is there a special thing about
It's
this
a
motorcycle?
Triumph.
I don't know anything about motorcycles. Somebody did
not a
mention on our
Harley.
somebody mentioned
It's
on our
not a Harley.
website that hey, he's actually riding a whatever it was.
It's like a.
I'm sorry, I know nothing about motorcycles.
I think it's like an indie, World War II kind
Yeah, it has that look to it.
of bike.
It almost makes it seem like it's going to be an older episode,
Yeah,
like set in the past, but it's not. It's present day.
and then we'll kill Clara again.
It almost seems like, but it's not. It's
But it's not. From what we know of the episode.
Think World War II. Think of the past. No, don't think of that. That's not. That's
It's
nothing
like a
that.
banana. No, it's nothing like a banana.
Forget that.
I didn't know that's where that image came from.
So that was very exciting.
I've seen this online, and I've thought about using it as my wallpaper, but the monsters over here on the side kind of creep me out. Well,
It's a very cool.
It's a very cool, but
Sean is talking about the Doctor Who: The Complete Guide
By Mark Campbell.
Mark Campbell. It's an unofficial guide.
Glenn Broad, but it's got a
Seems
very
awfully
cool
thin to
chart
be a
picture.
complete guide.
It goes up. It's everything up to
All episodes?
Series 5. Yeah, Series 5.
Must be small print.
I mean, it's just quick little synopses. It's not.
Oh.
It's not like
It's like the Quantum Leap A to Z that I had. It's not a complete guide.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the monster's kind of creep me out, so I've never used it as my desktop wallpaper. But I didn't know that's where that image came from,
No.
or at least that it had been appropriated for the book.
Apparently
Anyway,
so.
what else is in the news, Keith?
Speaking of things airing, we got reports of the episode that will air with the Third Doctor Revisited, which Sean posted to our Facebook page. Which is what?
Spearhead from space.
Yes.
Did you skip? Okay.
Yep.
He skipped the Barrowman area. That's okay.
I was
On-
going
on
to
the
that
show
next.
Oh,
notes. Why do we do show notes then?
I
wasn't here for that.
I
was
couldn't
just-
remember what
I
order we
just-
had it in.
I took the lead I was given and ran with it. That's as far as I know. You want to talk Barrowman first before we talk
No,
Spearhead?
Spearhead's good.
The only thing that really kind of surprised me about Spearhead...
Barrowman goes along with the new
Oh, it does.
Doctor. That's why I was going to do it again.
Oh,
But that's okay.
I see where
It's
you're
all
going.
right.
Why'd
But
you
this
do it
is
that
also
way?
part of the 50th.
That's usually why I kind of guide this, but
This
we'll
is
hook off
this,
on
this
it.
is
I'm
also
sorry I distracted you
it's
with the book
also
thing, 'cause
part of
I
the
did
50th celebration.
feedback.
Fell down on the job there. Sorry.
No, Spearhead from Space. Although Keith and I have been doing some fact checking, and I've only found one source for that. So
We're not entirely sure. It's probably going to be like a release date thing where
March 30th.
or the one before that.
Oh yeah, where it was the last season coming
The
back,
last season
return,
coming
and
back.
where Sean got all giddy and got one little bit of information posted on the website. Turned out to be true.
And was right.
Turned out to be true, but
So,
we couldn't confirm it. But we do have a source for this, so that's why we're letting it go and we're talking about it.
Okay.
But
I think. Quite honestly, when because Colton and I talked a little bit about this, I think Spearhead's kind of an odd choice. Of all
I
the
think it's
Third
an odd
Doctor
choice.
stuff that could be aired,
It's 6 parts.
No, it's 4.
it's 4.
Oh, that's right. We did
confirmed
determine it. We did determine it was 4 parts.
Although
It's the short one of the season.
the thing
It is,
to attribute UK TV has been showing some of these old episodes also, and they're doing Spearhead from space, and they've done the same ones that BBC America has
I have
done.
a feeling that's where
So
they are at least perpetuating the fact
that's
the
probably
most
where they're
likely.
jumping to the conclusion.
It's also on Netflix, so that fits that pattern.
Yeah.
Tomb isn't though, is it?
Tomb is.
Is it?
No, Tube's
I
not.
didn't
Oh,
think
no,
it
you're
was.
right. Tomb
Yeah,
isn't.
it's not.
I thought it was. It was Mine Robber that's on there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else they could
Anyways,
do.
Okay,
this is
well,
an
that should
enjoyable
sound that-
episode.
Well, it's.
Well,
I think it's-
I'm kind of I guess I'm not surprised that they didn't jump forward to a Sarah Jane story because so many people associate
because
Sarah
there'll
Jane
be
with
a Tom Baker Sarah Jane.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I don't know. I kind of figured that fezzes are cool
Terror of the Autons almost seems more logical.
because it's
it
a Joe
introduces the-
versus
Well, it's Joe.
and it introduces the master.
Introduces the master, so you get a taste of the.
Is that 4 also?
You get a taste of the Fourth Doctor's longest companion, ish, or the one most associated with the Fourth Doctor. You get the master. You get, unit. It's a unit story as well. It means, and it's 4 parts. It seems to make more
most of
sense
the-
to me than anything else. But
Most of the
I'm not
Joe
the one in
episodes
charge
are
of
good.
putting these on the air.
Maybe they thought the scary couch would be too much for new viewers.
Yeah, but isn't
or
this
the
one-
little gremlin guy? Or
was that? I was trying to remember which one.
Those
of
were both Autons. Spearhead was the tentacle in the
big
tank.
giant.
Well, yeah,
But it had
but the
Autons.
nesting.
It had
Autons.
Autons too.
Pertwee giving his choking.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember which one the creepy little doll
that's-
was.
Creepy little doll.
The
Was
Autons
the-
are better in Spearhead because this is the plan to replace the world leaders in Spearhead. That's where they've got the general and the wax
Yes.
museum.
It's a
and that
better
kind of
story
stuff.
in general.
Yeah, I think it's a better story.
Oh, I would agree.
But Terror of the Autons, I think, is a little more iconic.
Yes,
Because
that's-
it's got Joe and the Master and so on and so forth.
yes.
They could even gone Claws of Axos.
No.
No.
You don't think so?
No. They could have.
And while Carnival's an enjoyable one,
It's not a
It's
good
a little out there
representation.
for somebody that's just getting into Doctor Who.
I'm quite honest,
especially for that
I'm
era.
surprised they didn't go 3 Doctors. I know that it kind of steals some of Pertwee's
It
thunder
does.
because it features
steals
the other
Pertwee's
two. but
thunder,
it's-
and I don't.
it's such a good story, though. that-
no, it's not a good story.
It is a good story.
It's not a good.
It is a phenomenal story.
It's fanboy.
Oh, for sure.
Anyway, so yeah,
Why
interesting
should I put a
choice
god?
there, and I suppose we'll. Great performance. Don't get me wrong. But,
Great story.
But yeah, so we'll see. It'll
sure-
it'll pan out in the next few weeks, and
Yeah.
it'll be confirmed by BBC eventually. But
I want to
we're
say
going
I've
on that
seen
supposition.
suppositions for the second Doctor one that turned out to be true also. So
Yeah, that's true too.
So what about Barrowman? That you
also in the 50th anniversary celebrations,
Oh, I see. That's your segue into it.
that's my segue into it.
What am I looking at, Sean?
Read the thing. What are you doing?
What am I reading?
Barrowman
Read
John
that.
John Barrowman was interviewed on Friday's edition of This Morning. Apparently a a UK show I've
What about
never
it?
heard of.
You don't excited by that?
What am I excited about? I don't understand. Oh, that you get to choose your shirt color?
Yeah.
Oh.
And size now. That's kind of cool, deal.
What?
We were discussing-
You could always choose your size.
Well, not up to 3X.
No, that's true.
Oh, is that T Fury?
T Fury has
you
just
gotta
sent
bring
me
it
an
up now.
email.
You distracted
and
the entire
announced-
show,
Well,
so.
because you won't cue in. You are the worst newscaster
Couldn't
ever.
wait until the
couldn't-
end.
Somebody would hand you something under the desk,
would
and
have
you would go,
forgotten.
"What? What is
I'm
this
a
you're handing
producer.
me?"
I'm the one
And
handing
instead,
this
and
stuff.
Instead, instead
I
of
don't
saying
have
this just in, you'd go, "I don't understand what I was just handed." T Fury just sent me an email and announced that they've listened to customer requests, and you can now choose your own shirt color. So whenever, you know how they always have, for example, oh, it's a Who shirt, but it's on that weird powder blue that nobody likes,
yeah.
and you have 2 of them.
It's because they're trying to get rid of the powder blue
Well,
shirts.
you can now choose your own shirt color.
They're going to offer a discount on those shirts
It's
now.
true. They put the more popular designs on the worst color shirts. They do.
They do.
It's the truth. Because they know they're going to sell that design no matter what
No
color
matter what
shirt
color
it's
shirt
on.
it's on. But you don't have to do that now because you can pick your own color.
You can even preview
And I've always
them.
complained that they only go
You
to
can even
2X.
preview
and,
them.
And now,
3X.
they're available in fat guy sizes because they go up to 3X. So I thought that was kind
So
of cool.
far-
But not necessarily newsworthy. But now that we've covered it in the news, we can move on.
So far, they only have 3 colors options.
Well, that's still better than powder blue.
Powder blue is one of the options.
No, an ugly olive green is.
Okay, I don't care if they're giving me 3 ugly color options. At least there are options. That's
At least I
better
can
than
choose
not.
what ugly color they put
That's
on.
exactly it. Or I could pay $20 on Red Bull.
Keith,
and
now we
keep
can
my
talk
shirt
about the
later.
Barrowman interview.
Yes.
Tell me about the Barrowman
as
interview.
the 50th anniversary celebrations. He revealed he has some involvement. He said, quote, "I haven't had any information up until just about right now, and all I can say to you is we're discussing things. That's a total exclusive. Even yesterday I was saying I have heard nothing." And then he quickly followed up saying, "I didn't say what capacity or medium, so stay calm and carry on." He tweeted that out. Arthur was asked by Digital Spy.
Well, are you going to do the Barrowman follow-up on Graham Norton?
Oh, I guess we could.
He basically said he can't say anything. He said, I like to be honest.
Some
and
people on the interwebs
as secretive as I can, so...
took this and ran with it and said he's definitely coming back, blah, 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 and twisted what he said.
Barrowman to return.
I walked
think
into
was a
Friday
headline
Night
that I
Who,
saw.
and Sean had a whole layout of how the 50th anniversary was going to go based on the 2 words that
I
Barrowman
most
said.
certainly did not. I specifically looked at you and said, they're in talks. That is all that we have heard.
I think everybody jumped and ran with this.
Although it does make sense to
I
have
don't
him
want to
come
be included
back
in that group.
since he's a Moffat creation. Why wouldn't Moffat bring back all of his main characters that stuck around to his 50th anniversary celebration? It makes sense to me.
I'd really like to see Captain Jack and
I hope
River
he's bringing
together.
him back because it's a good character.
Well, that too.
And they're not doing any more Torchwood.
He proved to be a good character.
And they're not doing more Torchwood for a while.
They're doing more Torchwood, but apparently with an entirely different group of people. But that's also...
And called something completely different.
Yeah. It's called
Torchwood, but it's not.
It's called... It's the new Torchwood. It's called Downtown Abbey. What?
Downtown Abbey. Huh?
Downtown Abbey.
It's a whole new Torchwood, new cast, set in the
Started.
United States.
Started watching Downton Abbey this weekend.
How was it?
Not going to be one I'm going to get into, that's for certain.
It's a primetime soap opera.
Oh, it's tough. It is tough to get into. All right. So,
Hang on.
next was...
There we go. Crossed off the list.
off the list.
Arthur Darvill was asked by Digital Spy
Did
about...
you talk about Freeman?
No, I'm getting to her after Arthur.
He's building up.
Okay.
Arthur was talked to before John.
Yeah, go ahead. Why didn't you do Arthur first, then?
Because this list, the article I'm reading says John first.
But you're getting your news from an article?
Yes.
Oh,
I wasn't at these
that's ruining
places.
it. You're going to one source. Aren't you a news guy?
They are linking to other.
I'm yanking your chain. Go.
Digital Spy asked Rory about returning, and he says, never say never. He also adds, I'm so busy at the moment that I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm very loyal to Doctor Who. I saw Stephen Moffat recently, and I think he's brilliant. He's one of those people that if he ever asks me to do anything, I'd do it. So
much ado about nothing.
Yep.
yeah. And he gave a Nathan Fillion response of, oh, look, Joss Whedon's on the phone. I'm going to pick up and just say yes. I don't care what it is. I'm saying yes.
That's totally what should happen, though.
Yeah.
That's what he did for Dr. Horrible. He saw him on the caller ID and said, yes.
Right.
And then Freema
Yes,
was
Freema.
asked about the 50th. And she said she's contributing to a program for BBC America, but not involved in the drama. Excited to watch, though. So that sounds like she's going to be interviewed for the 10th Doctor story. Or 10th Doctor Revisited. And then she was also asked, would she play Martha Jones again? And she said yes, under the right circumstances, i.e. character development opportunity.
So, not more much ado about nothing. So
much ado about nothing.
So
there.
we're reporting on stuff that's really kind of
As with all of the 50th anniversary stuff up to date.
We should have scratched this from the news segment.
I think it's important to note that of all of the rumor and all of the hearsay and all of the people who have said, I'm not being talked to, I have no information, because we've been hunting around on this for months, not just this year, but for months leading up to this year.
Well,
and all the classic doctors and all of the stuff that we've speculated on, all the stuff that Big Finish has said, on and on and on and on, to finally have something in the can that says, we're talking to John Barrowman. That's all I wanted to bring up. I think that's an important step, because it says, hey, they're in talks. That's all the story is.
We're talking to John Barrowman is more of there's a possibility that we'll see Captain Jack in the anniversary special.
Yeah.
That doesn't say that. I mean, we already know they're doing an anniversary special, and I think that too many people are popping off and saying, "Hey, this confirms the anniversary special is going to happen." We know the anniversary special,
and this is not going to be the only anniversary
thing. The only thing I gleaned out of
either.
this is that they have mentioned something to John. Hey, be available. We might give you a call. That's all this says to me. I mean, I'm with Keith. I think that maybe Moffat kind of feels a responsibility to bring the characters that he created back into the fold a little bit. Torchwood isn't going on, so Captain Jack is a logical step, in my opinion. Bring him back and be an old Captain Jack would be awesome. But anyway, but all of this huge blow up over the fact that that who everybody
they're going to bring him back to voice the face of Bo. Yes, that would be so awesome.
That'd be the coolest thing.
Actually, that would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
But just all the way this exploded over the weekend of John Barrowman is confirming all this stuff about Doctor Who. It got so out of hand. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, fans are excited.
And here's the thing. We know the 50th is going to happen. Let's just kind of wait, let it run its course. It's still only March. We got until November. Let's get the second half of the series out of the way, of this year out of the way, and then we can start getting excited and I guess I'm not going to hold with bated breath to every little tiny little minute information. I mean, it goes back to David Tennant. We didn't even report on these. David Tennant and Chris Eccleston both have done interviews in the last month, or 2 months, I guess it was 2 months ago, where before Chris Eccleston was saying, no, I'm not having to do Doctor Who again last year as of like a year ago or 2 years ago. And then suddenly he's in an interview being asked, what about the new Doctor Who? And he says, well, I can't say anything. So everybody jumped all over that and said, oh my gosh, that means that they're talking to Chris Eccleston, because suddenly he went from here to here. We didn't report on that. That's bigger to me than John Barrowman saying, because Barrowman's going to. Well, I think we finally talked about it, but it wasn't part of our news segment. It wasn't. We weren't lending as much information or any much bearing to it as we are.
Well, I think this.
And the Martha thing and Arthur thing, which I hadn't read until tonight. To me, that's nothing. That's the same kind of stuff that we've been hearing from everybody that
we've been ignoring.
The bigger change, I think, also is
it just all happened to come out this weekend.
Yeah. So. Louise Jameson's tweet. I forgot about this in pre-show. Somebody tweeted, "If the Doctor Who 50th specials don't feature at least one past Doctor, I think I'll genuinely cry." She responded to that tweeter and said, "None of us knows what's going on. Just told to keep the days free."
News! Why did you lead with that? That's more important than Reign of Terror and Animated Ice Warriors.
Well, clearly that means all the Doctors are going to be back in the 50th anniversary. You heard it here first, guys. Right here.
It's a
all
thing
of the Doctors will be back. In fact, they're going to get all of the surviving companions. Every one of them will be in the 50th anniversary.
So that when this happens, he can say he claimed it.
Wow, this is great. I can't believe this. I can't believe we're... It's because we're fans. That's why we're holding on bated breath with every little minute thing that everybody says. And I'm tired of it because I just want to blow all this off until the BBC says, hey, here's what our plans are. And then I'll say, hey, I'm excited about what you're doing. But until then, I get so frustrated with all these little, we don't know. It's this little teasing, tantalizing crap. I don't give a crap about that stuff. So,
I think the bigger thing is the fact that she says none of us knows anything of what's going on.
No, that's what it boils down to.
Hey, we may want you.
Nobody knows anything.
Yeah. Keep the dates open. We'll see if the story fits.
Until Moffat sends a script, we don't know.
That's right. Moving on.
But keep the dates open.
Keep the dates.
That's it for news.
Have you heard this new thing with wedding invitations? That now you send wedding invitations to people you don't want to come to your wedding? Seriously, you send a
Where
don't bother coming. No, it was the save the date thing. It just totally tangent. I don't do this very often, but I heard this the other day on the radio. It was like they send these cards to people and say, hey, we're getting married on this date, but you're not invited. That's the new thing to do.
What?
To send the anti-invitation. Isn't that bizarre?
I don't know how I'd say, if I saw that, I'd say, okay, and throw it in the trash.
Is it specifically worded?
I don't know. I'm not.
Don't come,
I'm
or
not
is
exactly sure, but it makes it clear that yes, we would like to invite everybody, but you're not in. But we can't invite everybody.
So send the gift.
Yeah, but but unfortunately you're not invited. Well, I'd be happy to get one of these because you know what a wedding invitation is. It's basically a gift subpoena, is what it is. Hey, you got to bring a gift. Suddenly, I get a wedding.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Now I've got to look up. I'm going to. Yeah, exactly.
And let's be honest,
it's an obligation.
It's kind of a
It's a
time
gift
suck. Because if you actually go, you've got to block out 2-3 hours
Yes.
of your day. Usually
And if it's a
on
Catholic
weekend,
wedding, you got to add another 2 hours on top of that.
and you know you
That's why
got
I
to
go to
dress
the
nice
reception.
like you're going to church, and then you got to sit there and do the thing and watch these people, and they're making a colossal mistake, but you're going to sit there and support them
See,
in their hour of need.
I don't go to weddings.
And then you go and give
I
them a
just-
gift,
even if
and
I
then
get-
you show up at the bar.
Even if
and
I get
they
an
ran a
invitation, I don't
cash
go.
bar, and you got to pay for the
even
stuff.
if I get an invitation, I don't go to weddings. And Keith knows this most because the only reason I was in his wedding this time is because he knew I had to show up. Because I didn't go to his first one.
He was in my wedding. That's why he went to
That's
my
right.
wedding.
I had to go to his wedding because
I
I
have
was
to
in
admit,
it.
I only went to your wedding because I was in the wedding.
But you went to the first one.
You were at the
And
first
look
one.
how
You're
that
the one
turned
that
out.
you're the one that
That's true.
called me and said,
Hey,
"Dude,
where are you?"
at?" And I went, "Was that tonight?"
He's such a good friend.
He is.
Admittedly, we didn't know each other that well back then.
That's true. Not as well as we do now.
Now I wouldn't miss your wedding, but because I had to be in it. Anyway, I haven't even been to all of Sean's. I didn't go to his first wedding either.
All of Sean's like there have
Sorry, Sean.
so many. I'm like Al on Quantum Leap, my sixth wife. Yeah,
It's like Ross on Friends. It's just your thing.
two.
I'm sorry. I keep thinking you've been married more times than
Well, it
twice.
feels like it.
Wow, we got way off topic again.
Whose fault was that?
Bagpipes. All right, next.
That's at least UK centric.
Oh my gosh. All right.
You
well,
probably offended Amelia Pond.
Feedback. We're going to Scotland and we've got some feedback. And Glenn and Keith look at me like I'm crazy because they thought they knew what the lyrics to the song were and they thought they had the song pegged. But I said no. We're doing bagpipes for feedback this week with some drums.
You're a little early. I wasn't going to feedback yet.
Oh, you weren't going to
No,
feedback yet?
I was going to do the
Okay.
Long Island Doctor Who convention.
Oh, go ahead then.
Yeah.
It's kind of feedback. They sent us press
I've got
release,
4 minutes of bagpipes here. I can cue this back up. Look, check it out. There's some more.
Long Island Who has announced their
There's some more.
guests for November 8th, 9th, and 10th in Long Island, New York. Okay, sorry. In Long Island, New York. Now you're being very disrespectful to Long Island.
I
Who Club.
mean, no disrespect to Long Island. You, however, have nothing.
Their guest lineup, they've announced Ian McNeice as part of their lineup of guests, and
Churchill.
best known as Prime Minister Winston S. Churchill from the episode The Beast Below, Victory of the Daleks, The Pandorica Open. He was in The Beast Below? I don't remember that. Victory of the Daleks.
I think he was in the-
Pandorica. Oh, he was at the end. At the very, very
post
end.
end
wasn't he?
to carry over
he
to the next
was.
episode.
Yeah, you're right. Victory of the Daleks, Pandorica Opens, Wedding River Song, all in the Matt Smith era. He's I don't know, doesn't matter what else he's in, but the
He's going to be joined by.
he's like
What does
he's
the
their
S stand for? William S. Churchill? Really?
it's what William S. Churchill.
Does that sound right?
I don't know
to
what
anybody
S
else?
is for though. Yeah. Anyway, that's their first guest.
No, that's their third.
I'm sorry, that's their most recent announcement. He's also being joined by Daphne Ashbrook and Paul. Is it Paul again? The other
No.
one?
No. Fraser Hines.
Fraser Hines. That's right. That's right.
Spencer.
They did their little promo. I forgot about that.
The S stands for Spencer. Spencer.
Winston Spencer Churchill?
It's It's Sir Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill. It's hyphenated, actually.
Huh.
Leonard Spencer is hyphenated?
No. Spencer Churchill.
Spencer.
So should it be Winston L.S. Churchill?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be darned.
No. It would be Winston L.
It should be
Spencer Churchill.
It should be, yeah.
Winston L. Spencer Churchill.
Sir.
Anyway, Ian McNeese is going to be in New York for Long Island too, so
Well, he's going to be in Long Island.
excited about that.
And Long Island is put on by our good friend Ken Deep from...
As Podshock.
Yeah, that one.
He's the showrunner.
He's not the showrunner.
That's what the website says.
It says he's showrunner.
L.I. Who credits showrunner.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Ken's the showrunner.
Billy Davis,
Oh, I guess he's running
programming
the show.
director.
I suppose that's the Billy D.
Billy Davis.
Oh, I didn't Billy D. Williams. That's cool. Why don't you have
Corey D. Williams.
He would be really hard to get, I'm sure.
Oh, did you mention that bit of news on...
Oh, did Corey back out?
No, Corey's still planning on coming. No, they added Ray Park.
Oh, yeah, Planet Comic Con, Ray Park.
It's getting way too big. This is
It's huge.
ridiculous. I don't want anything to do with it anymore. No, our part, I love that. I love the fact that there's Doctor Who presence. I'm really getting disgusted by the fact that there's so many guests.
What?
Because the lines are going to be insane. And crowds are going to be insane.
No.
And it's going to be way
The
too
more
much.
the more guests, the thinner the crowd.
Yeah,
will
see,
be.
I started thinking that early on. but
That's why I'm going. That's why I'm going to get any autographs on Sunday.
it says at every show, I'm getting autographs on Sunday. Getting autographs on Sunday.
Because the line is shorter.
Are the lines shorter on Sunday?
Less people are going to. Traditionally, more
Saturday
people show
is
up
the
on
big con
Saturday.
day.
Sunday is easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll wait until Sunday to get mine.
Well, you went Saturday
Three
last
autographs.
year.
I know.
And the year
We both
before.
went Saturday.
I've gone
We-
Saturday every year.
We've
And
only
that's the
gone
big
Saturday.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
true. I've never been on a Sunday.
All reports.
That's what I want to know. How do you know? Is it,
All
you've heard
reports
that?
I've seen. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Saturday's
slower show.
always
on
the
So
big
Sunday.
anyway,
show.
Ray Park.
Ray Park, Darth Maul.
It's getting too big.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, and G.I. Joe.
And G.I. Joe.
Our next bit of feedback is...
Our first bit.
You don't get to do it again. No, I had to fold that into feedback
Oh, yeah,
because
okay.
somebody did his feedback
Yeah.
song early.
Well, I didn't really do the feedback song. That was just annoy you.
So you have a different feedback
I
song?
have a real feedback song.
Oh, we're going to do that one too?
Sure. I'll give you 2 this week.
Ooh. He did skip the last couple
Because
of
the
weeks.
bagpipe one was...
I kind of liked it. not the lyrics, but the music.
The lyrics were way lame. Is it time for feedback yet?
It's feedback time.
Jazz hands right here. Glenn and Keith, who's written in this time?
We have?
Brenda or Brittany?
Oh, he's asking.
Yeah.
Is Dr. Phil on the line? All we want to do is sit and talk Doctor Who. Introduce them now. I don't mind. But you better listen up, because it's feedback time. Feedback time. Did Chrissy send video? It's always such a scream. Especially when she throws unmentionables at the screen. Holly Mack isn't Glenn's Holly, but Holly from Wisconsin. Introduce them now. I don't mind, but you better listen up, because it's feedback time. Feedback time. Feedback time. Feedback time.
You went in depth in that one.
Yeah.
From one of the
Making
many
up.
Huey Lewis in the News albums from the 80s that came out once a year. All right. Who's first? Go.
As mentioned in Sean's song,
No, it was
Holy
actually
Mac.
from the Back to the Future soundtrack. not from a Huey Lewis and the News album, although it was later featured on their Greatest Hits album from 1994.
Holly writes,
Sandwiched between the two albums that came out in 93.
hey, they only did back-to-back in 80.
Yeah, it was only in the 80s.
And that was
It was
this
only in the
album.
80s.
It was only in the 80s.
Okay. Go ahead.
Now, the Bagpipers, however, they have a lot of albums. Every year there's a new Bagpipe album.
It's kind of like Celtic Thunder.
What? That is Celtic Thunder.
You've never heard of Celtic Thunder?
No, it's Celtic
That's the drum
Thunder.
corps.
No.
That's not the drum corps?
No.
What is it?
It's a bunch of singers.
Oh, that's not what I thought it was then.
Singing. There's 2 DVDs we have. The one's a Christmas CD.
Oh, those are those ones that were on my shelf for a while that I ignored.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Christmas songs and traditional Celtic songs.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't mind. I like Celtic songs.
Are there bagpipes in it?
I'm sure there are bagpipes
I
in
should watch
Celtic
those.
songs.
Celtic's Irish, bagpipes Scottish. The difference.
Yeah.
They seem to
All
put
right.
out, regardless, they seem to put out an album every year.
Celtic Thunder does?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because they're almost constantly rotating guys out. So
So they're like Menudo.
That's the Irish menudo.
The Irish Menudo. Celtic Thunder.
I wonder if there's a dish called Celtic Thunder as well.
That's what happens to you after you eat haggis.
is that what the after effects of haggis is?
The after effects of haggis.
Hi, what you doing in there? I'm suffering from Celtic Thunder. I had haggis yesterday.
Why did they put out our album so frequently? All right.
Holly writes in, "Hey guys, long time no writes.
Hi, Holly. We've missed you.
Hey guys and gals of the Vortex. Been a very busy school work schedule and a bum left elbow that's now on the mend.
Ouch.
Oh.
What happened to your elbow?
Yeah, no lie.
Things are finally starting to slow down a little. Hope you aren't buried under too much snow in Kansas. I'm so ready for spring. Caught up on all the galley updates and wrap-up podcasts. They were awesome. Loved all the bumpers and stories of your adventures in galley. Starting to listen to the Destiny of the Doctor's audios, and so far I'm enjoying them. You guys aren't going to distract me. Little catch-up for reviews. I caught the Magpie reference right away in Hunters of Earth, and was wondering if this wasn't another offshoot of The Wire trying to take control again. Probably just an in-joke, but who knows?
See, somebody else thought it was important, too. I think there's more... Of course, these are the same group of people that all said, John Barrowman's coming back. So, you know, not you specifically, Holly, but I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
Probably just an in-joke, but who knows? Have already listened to the second audio and will send in feedback for it at a later date.
Oh, good, because we're reviewing it very soon. So,
The Leisure Hive was a good story. I was a little sad to see Canine only had a few seconds of screen time, that the Doctor was actually pretty calm about what happened. The ending to The Leisure Hive was interesting, with the Doctor handing off baby Pangol as fast as he could.
could have done Baby Pangol is number B.
I didn't think of that one.
I didn't either.
Not as good as Baby Benton.
No.
The Reign of Terror. I enjoyed. I have to admit the animation episodes were actually pretty good, but in some instances the face started to creep me out just a touch. It was a nice touch when Barbara mentioned that her actions when dealing with the Aztecs and not wanting to go down that road again. I get the feeling in this one that even though the Doctor was planning on returning Ian and Barbara to their own time, he would miss them. Sure, he has Susan to travel around with, but I think the two of them are starting to grow on him. I think he just puts on the gruff demeanor with them at times just to protect himself. Looking forward to hearing your and your fellow Vortex travelers' thoughts on this story. Holly from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you, Holly.
It's great to hear from you again, Holly.
Yeah, I hope you didn't bust your arm up too bad.
I'm sorry about your elbow.
Or elbow.
Close enough.
Whatever body part you injured.
It's part of
that's
her arm.
not working. I hope it's not serious and that it will be on the mend and it will be fixed and, you know, whatnot.
All that jazz.
Next up,
is Crystal writes, First Doctor is awesome. Smiley face. Hello to everyone.
You realize she was forced to put the smiley face in there because we couldn't determine what that was in her line. I think I did 0.0 or what, .0 dash.
I think from now on,
zeroed.
a note to our listeners, I think from now on all feedback should come in pictogram form because we can't read.
It only took us 114 episodes to discover this.
Smiley faces.
We have difficulties with the English language, and apparently French and German are not too strong either. So.
But we got the Welsh down.
Cumri.
Hello to everyone at the Traveling the Vortex podcast. Hello, guys. Sorry about missing Friday Night Who. Between my internet being slow, not really working, and caught this icky bug. Won't go into details in case it's kind of gross bug. I had to get some rest so I could finish this research paper that's due on Monday. My first research paper, by the way, so wish me luck on it.
Good luck.
I think I'm going to need it. Good luck. But someone shouldn't be working before someone shouldn't be working on that now. Well, yeah, but I am taking a break. Huh.
So she's taking a break from her research paper to write into us.
She's apparently supposed to be working on it as she was writing this, is where I think I'm going with that.
You got it.
As I said, we have trouble with English. So, well, yeah, but I'm taking a break. So I thought I'd give my thoughts on what are you waving your hands over there for? Okay.
Don't get distracted like you guys were trying to distract me.
No, we weren't trying to distract you. We were totally doing a different thing.
Yeah, we really were.
What were you doing?
Well, now he wants to know.
I'm left out now.
Didn't concern you. You were busy reading.
Okay.
But I think Glenn is actually trying to distract me. So.
He was communicating with me that time.
Yep.
Well, you didn't give me the wave off symbol.
I never saw a wave off
Well,
symbol.
you were busy. Oh, was that?
Keep
okay,
reading.
There it is. Okay, I can keep reading. I'll give my thoughts on the Doctor Who story, The Reign of Terror. I think it's a good story and would enjoy it more if we had all the episodes. Unfortunately, I didn't have access to the animation. I'm sure they were done great. It's hard for me to be critical on a story that has a reconstruction in it because, well, I feel I shouldn't judge a Doctor Who story until I've seen the whole story. But Classic Who has done historical stories well, and I will argue New Who can do it. You ask how well? Well, I got two words for you. Christmas special. A lot of people don't expect a big finale from the Christmas special. It's something that brings, well, at least my family to it every year, and I think it would be the perfect time to do a historical story that could be fun and be perfect for Christmas. Of course, that may be the history geek in me talking. Just a thought. Now, if I remember correctly, you guys are going to talk about the First Doctor. Happy face. The First Doctor is high as one of my favorite Doctors, and the reason for this is that he was the first classic Doctor that I watched. Like many Doctor Who fans who fell in love with the new series, I was worried that I would not get into classic episodes. And why do I say that? Well, at the time, Doctor Who podcasts, which was a much smaller number back then, were saying how bad the classic stories were and were very negative, so for a while I just didn't watch any. But a certain podcast during the dreaded gap year, the David Tennant specials, said, go buy the Beginner's Collection and just try to watch the series and you won't regret it. Before that, I did watch the 1996 telemovie, which everyone had said at the time was terrible, but it was great and I loved it. Yeah, it had some small things that I would change, but overall I thought it was a good movie. So I bought the beginning collection and fell in love with the First Doctor. How could you not? Ian and Barbara are probably one of the best, if not the best, Doctor Who companions. But the First Doctor is the reason I love the classic series, and it's hard to say exactly about the classic series, but I can highly recommend the First Doctor. The black and white, I feel, made the first two Doctors' world a little more magical. I don't know, I guess if I had to sum up the First Doctor, it would be to say he is fantastic and love him. Also, one more thing that I will say this, on Friday Night Who, I made the comment that I like, and he's more than just hot, Ian more than Rory. I stand by that. Ian was given the hero and strong role in Doctor Who, and I just like how he not only saved Barbara, but the Doctor multiple times. Well, that's just my opinion. Well, I think I've ranted on long enough, so on that note, I'm off to write 700 more words for my research paper. Oh, joy. Not really. And as always, good show, and sorry if the feedback's a bit too long. Waves. P.S. Sorry about the other smiley face I did in the subject line last time. Oopsie daisy. It was meant to be a surprise face. Sorry about that. One more thing. I'm glad we got a feedback song. Yay. Again. Hope we get another one this week. We got two this week, so. Okay, bye again. I think that's everything. If not, it'll be in a future feedback. Waves again. P.S. again. Sorry if this email isn't making any sense. I'm still sick. and slightly tired. So if I had a lot of grammar errors, my apologies. Okay, really going this time. Waves again. Crystal, all errors are on our end. And thank you for your feedback.
Yes, absolutely.
It's kind of refreshing to hear a new Who person that went back to the first Doctor, and that's who their classic Doctor is. You don't get that very often.
You don't get that very often.
After watching all of New Who, that's a big jump to make. Quite the difference.
Without pointing out any podcasts, because I wouldn't want to do a disservice to anybody. But her point that listening to some podcasts and how they were talking bad about a lot of the classic episodes made her not watch them, that really is a podcast doing a disservice for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I think
so.
that's why we've always, we have had our complaints, we've had our gripes about the classic series, but we've also had our complaints and gripes about the new series. So I think we're pretty equal opportunity. But we've also had, much praise to say for a lot of stuff in the classic series.
And we've always said any Who is good Who.
Exactly. So,
Well, and we've also been kind of, we're the oddballs of the bunch anyway, but we tend to fall traditionally on the stories that are, oh, that's a dog. We come out of it kind of going, that was actually really enjoyable and a lot of fun, and we look at it in a completely different light, I think, than a
We
lot
can
of
probably
fandom anyway.
overlook a lot of stuff that
Well,
other people can't get past.
We do overlook a lot of stuff, I think. But then at the end, we also nitpick to death on certain things like, I don't know, Western episodes have a tendency.
all right. Next bit of feedback is Chrissy. Chrissy writes, her subject line, a great spirit of adventure. Dear Vortex boys, I'm just going to dive in before I make any more trouble. The Reign of Terror. This is the second time I've seen this story. The first time I watched episodes 4 and 5 as reconstructions. I liked this when I first saw it. It was a pretty straightforward historical story. Ian gets dressed in the period clothing and the Doctor gets a fancy hat. I hope that thing is still in the TARDIS closet somewhere, and the 7th Doctor stumbles on it and starts wearing it, because it would be amazing.
11th Doctor.
What did I say?
7th.
11th, sorry. Excuse me.
Or even the 7th.
They look the same.
Wait, Sylvester could totally rock that.
Matt Smith could pull
Matt
it off,
Smith
too.
would have way too much fun with that hat, but man, I would love to see him pull that out.
As a story, it's not bad. Now, the elephant in the room, as it were. I'm never going to poo-poo any attempt to animate missing Doctor Who stories. However, the animation for these missing episodes, have you ever heard of the Uncanny Valley? The Uncanny Valley is the idea that anything that looks close enough to human but really isn't has this effect on the human brain. It's unsettling and frankly a bit creepy, and the brain can't cope with the image. The concept is usually used to describe a reaction to robots and such. The human brain can cope with a humanoid robot. That is obviously not supposed to be human. A prime example would be C-3PO from Star Wars. But the more something looks human when it clearly isn't, that's when the brain rejects it. The term uncanny valley comes from a graph comes from the graph that maps out this phenomenon. The line graph dips down the more something looks human until you come to a point where something actually is human and it creates a valley in the graph. This link explains it much better. We'll put that in the show notes. Anyway, my reason for bringing this up is that the animation in The Reign of Terror was very hard for me to watch. I think this is more of an issue about animating something to look like live action. The closer you get to making something human that clearly isn't, the more unsettling it is to watch. Honestly, I had a hard time watching the animated episodes because the characters looked creepy. I think I would have been okay with the characters looking slightly more cartoony and fake than trying to duplicate every line and detail of their faces. Now, this may just be me, and the rest of you probably think I'm crazy, and if you do, please say so. But that's my take on it. The story is good, and I'm glad they're reanimating missing stories. But let's be honest about what animation can do and not get so detailed that you freak people out. For example, the animation I've seen so far in the Ice Warriors is great. I like the simplistic style of it. Simplistic compared to the Reign of Terror, anyway. think we're going to touch on that when we get to Reign of Terror a little bit. I think we'll talk about the style of animation.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move
We'll
on.
hold our comments.
We will hold
for
our
now.
comments, Chrissy. It's funny that you're doing this First Doctor retrospective this week because after Gallifrey 1, I went looking for Doctor Who books and audios at the library. I have this interesting situation where I have two library systems close to me, Salt Lake County Library and Salt Lake City Library. It may seem like overkill, but it means that if there's something that one library system doesn't have, chances are the other library system has it, unless it's something really, really unusual. Seeing as I work for the county library, I'd already exhausted the Doctor Who offerings, but I hadn't really I hadn't really delved into what the city library had. And it turns out that they have a ton of Doctor Who stuff that the county doesn't have, including audio versions of missing Doctor Who episodes.
Ooh.
So this week, I've been listening to stories like The Massacre and Doctor Who, and the Dalek Master Plan and the Celestial Toymaker, all of which feature Peter Purvis, who was a galley. Imagine that. And she made a face out of emoticon here, so.
Emoticon.
And I recognize it this time.
Pictogram.
The point of this very long and winding story is that I'm in a great frame of mind for reviewing the Hartnell era, and that any Whovians in the Salt Lake area should go to the library and find Doctor Who stuff.
Here, here.
I know the big thing for the First Doctor's time was the Daleks, and that's what made Doctor Who so popular in the early years. And I don't want to discount any of that. But for myself, my favorite stories in the Hartnell era are the historicals, of which we watched The Reign of Terror for Friday Night Who. People often remember the Aztecs and the Romans as very well done and enjoyable stories. Even the missing stories like Marco Polo are a great listen to. I once found a telesnap version of the story, and even with just the pictures, it was engaging and fun to watch. Everyone knows about Susan and Barbara and Ian and even Vicky. Everyone knows that the First Doctor is the grumpy old grandfather and isn't really a hero to start out with. But there are moments when he gradually starts to become the hero that we're all familiar with. Case in point, and I'll avoid spoilers as much as I can for this, but it's such a great moment to include in your retrospective. Like I said before, I was listening to The Massacre this week, and it was a great story for Stephen, who sort of gets ignored from time to time, mostly because so many of his stories are missing. But at the end of the story, there was an awesome scene where Stephen gets really angry at the Doctor. As in, Stephen actually shouts at the Doctor for something that happened before the TARDIS took off, and he storms out the door because he's so mad. Then there's this wonderful moment where the Doctor is totally unsure of what to do next. He's properly ashamed of himself, and you begin to see him make choices of how he is going to conduct himself from here on out, and there are shades of the Doctor that we see in later regenerations. He begins to make rules for himself and determines that he will only go so far and no further. I love seeing those character moments for the First Doctor. Well, that's intriguing. I've never listened through The Massacre. Now I'm intrigued. I'm going to go listen to The Massacre now,
really.
because that sounds fantastic.
So is this Stephen's last episode? Was The Massacre?
I'm not sure if that's Stephen's last episode.
I'd be curious to
be
know
honest
that.
with you. We could find that on a wiki, I'm sure. Moving on. Coming from a new series perspective, it's interesting to see the Doctor learn and grow in his younger incarnation. Yes, I know. It's strange to think of William Hartnell's Doctor as young, but that's what he is at that stage. And it's almost like watching the production team grow the show into what it becomes later. People still weren't sure what Doctor Who was going to become, and they were making it up as they went along. And we're here talking about this 50 years later because the things that they came up with worked, and the show is still around because of that. If that's serendipity, if that isn't serendipity, I don't know what is. Serendipitally yours, Chrissy.
That's an awesome email.
Yeah, that was very good.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm assuming that the massacre is the massacre of
St. Bartholomew's.
St. Bartholomew's
Bartholomew's,
Square.
yeah.
Or it's just St. Bartholomew's, I think.
It's not his last episode.
Okay.
He goes on to the Ark, at least. And Celestial Toymaker, so he's in more than
Oh, I
those.
did know he was a Celestial Toymaker, so I knew he was after that, too. So, okay. Well, he's in the Gunfighters, obviously. We just saw that one.
I didn't know where that fell in the sequencing. So.
Yeah,
I just closed the link. Do I need to reopen it?
no, we're good. You're
No,
good.
you're good. So,
I was trying to find the massacre. Oh, the massacre's, right before the arc. And
we have the arc.
you know what?
We haven't read it yet.
Stephen was around from...
Was he there till the end?
No, because it was... was it another Stephen and Polly?
No, it had to be that Stephen.
No, it's a different Stephen in 10th Planet. Or it's a different guy, male companion. He's a blonde-headed.
It's Ben.
Ben and Polly, that's
Ben and
right.
Polly.
That's why. Yeah, it's Ben and Polly. At the very least in 10th Planet. Now, I don't know about the smugglers or the war machines, although...
He must not have stuck around for very long.
Well, again, he would have been around. He joined during the chase, technically.
The Savages is his last appearance.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so he was from the Chase, Time Meddler, Galaxy 4, Mission of the Unknown, Mythmakers, Doc's Master Plan, The Massacre, The Ark, Celestial Toymaker, Gunfighters, Savages. So he's been at least...
Wow, you're
many.
good.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at a list.
Oh,
He has it in front of him. Don't give him credit for that.
give that much credit. No,
I'd
no.
have bought that, man.
No,
Should have ran with that one.
So in the War Machine, it features Dodo, Polly, and Ben.
That's right. I forgot, because I knew Dodo
So you
was
have
in
that
one.
transition
So-
between
Okay.
Dodo and Polly.
Gotcha.
And I don't know about the smugglers, but I know that it's just Ben and Polly in the 10th Planet. So, because that one I have seen.
It's just Ben and Polly and the Smugglers.
Oh, there you go. I know Dodo was only in a couple episodes, so. All right. Well, should we move on to the Reign of Terror?
The
Let's
Reign
move on to the Reign of Terror.
of Terror. The TARDIS arrives near Paris during the French Revolution. A great time of upheaval, bloodshed, and terror. Soon, with the Doctor trapped inside a burning farmhouse, Ian imprisoned, and Susan and Barbara on their way to the guillotine, it's clear that this will be one of their most dangerous and exciting adventures yet.
Is that it?
That's it.
Bum, bum, bum.
This DVD release contains original episodes 1, 2, and 3, and 6, plus brand new animated versions of episodes 4
You
and
don't
5.
have to. You don't have to read all that, by the way.
Keith, lead us off.
I'm torn on this episode. And I think a lot of it is my lack of knowledge of the French Revolution. I think I would appreciate it more if I knew more about the period.
Yeah, that makes sense.
As it is, it's some historical time where we're wrapped up and they could have ran off, but apparently it's the Doctor's favorite time. Why it's his favorite time, they don't really expand on.
Well, the Reign of Terror is actually a time in history in the French Revolution. That's actually what they call...
It's a part of the French Revolution.
The tyranny of Robespierre. That's what they call his time. Robespierre. Is it Robespierre? Am I saying it right?
Robespierre.
Well, it's spelled Robespierre.
The guy that they took
Robespierre.
and killed
Yeah,
at the end.
They're saying it very quickly.
The bad guy.
That was considered the Reign of Terror. Robespierre's time was considered the Reign of Terror. He was this tyrannical
Where he
guy.
took everybody to the guillotine.
Right. I mean, he was a very vicious, brutal guy. Now, little did they know they were replacing one tyrant for another, but I mean, it all looked on the up and up for them.
Yeah.
You don't know what you've got until it's gone. But so that's this time, and this is the end of this time period that it comes in. So that's at least just a little bit of something, and we get a little bit of Robespierre's character.
Yeah.
In this story.
So it's interesting watching this story not knowing anything about the time period. It's
Agreed.
very enlightening and kind of I don't know how to describe how I feel about the story. It's low on my historical list of stories.
Okay.
Like, I wasn't a big fan of the Aztecs, but Aztecs is above this. I guess because I know more about the Aztecs than I do about this time period. So you go into it not knowing anything, and you're confused of, oh, this is the Reign of Terror? Oh, that sounds bad. Oh, they're sending people to the guillotines, but we're not going to see anybody sent to the guillotines. It's very disconcerting not knowing anything about this time period. And watching this story, or the bonus features afterwards of Ian talking about, well, it was great to do this story. And people knew about the Reign of Terror. Well, at least they did back in 1963. It doesn't hold up. Because
watching William Russell call out generations of kids, they just really don't cover this.
I guess it was 64.
Anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah,
so right.
They don't.
Well,
and that's the disservice of education more than this episode.
It is, but
this I appreciate the fact that this was targeted to the children at the time for education.
let's put it in perspective too. Though.
This is also English children.
Yes,
well,
in
yeah.
1964, it would have been European history. In 1964, they probably didn't have as much focus on it in the United States, but probably more so than we do even nowadays.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So put it in perspective that it's history for European children. I mean, it's certainly they would know probably a lot more because I mean that would have been less than 200 years in the prior. So it's not
we've covered,
too far.
We've kind of discussed some
it's
of
like
the
our French
differences.
or for our American Revolution.
We've kind of covered
And
some
I don't
differences
know as much about that as I probably should.
Well, then you should.
Yeah, that you should be ashamed of. But even here, I mean, if you think about your history classes, we're maybe
We spend a lot of time on World War II and World War One and nothing else.
Maybe it's the American arrogance, but pretty much all history classes start with Columbus, and then it's all American history.
American history does, yeah.
And
to be fair,
I mean, I took world history in high school.
well, that's just there's a specialized
take-
class you have to take world history.
I don't think I took
other
world
outside
history. I
view.
took American history, which was required.
Yeah.
Let's see, when
World
I was in
history
school, we
wasn't.
had to take world history.
So, I kind of fall into it with you as I enjoyed the episode. I really, as with all of the Hartnell historicals, there's an element to them that I appreciate now, which I probably didn't originally. But I appreciate the fact, because we've kind of complained about New Who doing, this is the historical, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's because we get things like witches and aliens and some of the things, it'd be kind of fun just to do a pure historical and see what happens.
Which I give total props to this one and the Aztecs, because those are pure historical.
And the gunfighters.
And the
Romans.
Yes, and the Romans.
I mean, that's really what... They did
really
that. They
really
did that.
The first one where they step away from that is the meddling monk.
Meddling monk. That's,
Or the
that
time
is the
meddler.
first. That is the first. Yeah, the time meddler. That's the first one where you actually introduce science fiction aspects along with the historical. And from then on, that's what all they did really for the most part.
Unfortunately for me, that's still going to be the bench point for the first Doctor era is the time meddler. That is my favorites, and every episode is going to be compared to that story. And this falls down in that aspect. I have great respect for it, especially in the fact that it's episode 8.
Yeah.
It's the first 10, and we're not even getting to that. So it's almost like in my mind, I make excuses for the story and why I don't like it. Not so much not like it, but just don't enjoy it as much as others, if that makes sense.
It's one of those that you can almost liken this to one of those Oscar-winning Best Picture films that maybe it's a good episode, maybe it's got good production value, or it's got a message and it's got things, but it's not necessarily one that you're going to pull off the shelf and watch all the time. In that regard, I totally come down on the same side from the standpoint that I appreciate it. I thought it was very well done. I know that, once again, I'm kind of the champion for, I didn't think the production values were that bad, even though they've managed to recreate France and the wide boulevards and not. We've got tiny little cramped alleyway corners and stuff. Right. But I still bought into it. I still bought that we were here.
I didn't realize it until after in the bonus features where they were talking about how cramped the boulevards were, that I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, they were supposed to be wider than that. Okay.
I still totally bought into the fact that we were in France for this. The prison. Yeah, we went back to the prison 9 times. Didn't matter. I totally bought it. And then they sell me with the one visual of Susan and Barbara in a cart, drawn by a horse. Wow. And they sell me with the visual of the doctor walking across the...
I think him walking down the lane toward two parents
in the fields and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't cue into that. I think it was you that actually said that, Glenn, that, this is our first location shoot in Doctor Who.
Yeah, it was.
This is the first one. And I looked at that, and it really... lodged in my brain that I've never seen the First Doctor outside before. This is strange because it is. It doesn't. It's a little different. But I bought into it. So I think all of that, they did a fantastic job setting the scene and getting us there and doing it. But I'm kind of with Keith. When we watched the special features and William Russell said, at least they did then, because it's not as big of a focus now. I really had to look at my own shortcomings in the history department and go, you know what, he's right. I wish I knew more about this period of history, because I really got fascinated to learn more about it through this. I didn't, but... I'm
sort of the same way. I don't know much about the French Revolution. The extent of the French Revolution I know, and I think we mentioned this on Friday Who, is from Les Miserables. I mean, that's
you're ahead of me on that one, too.
Pretty much the extent of it I know. And I think that was late in the French Revolution.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I was wondering
it's not
if
it
was set during this.
Time. I don't believe. I can't remember now that I think about it. But yeah, no, that's the extent of the exposure. I remember reading a little bit about it in high school in world history, because, like I say, we were forced to take world history. That's sad that you didn't, because now that makes me think we were trending away from requiring that. I think that's kind of an important
course,
thing.
I don't remember a lot of
it's just a Topeka thing. So.
U.S. history class either. So,
oh my God, did you take any history?
I did.
The history of ice cream.
I wish I would have.
Bagpipes.
Yeah,
history of bagpipes.
So yeah, I was the same way. I went into this thinking, "Wow, I wish I knew a little more." I think had I known, like you guys are saying, had I known a little more about the French Revolution, I would have gotten more. I mean, I knew about the Reign of Terror. I knew that. I knew just that much about it. But that was it. That's all
I knew of it.
And that's just it. Is
Reign of Terror bad? Okay,
this story? Yeah, this story makes it very clear that reign is bad. That this reign is bad, and Robespierre is not a very nice guy. So, yeah, I got that much of it. Now, that being said, I think that I enjoyed the Doctor in this much more than I have in some stories.
Yeah, I can see that.
He's
totally,
although he's got quite a violent streak on him in this one. Maybe that's what I liked about it, but
it's more the Doctor we're almost familiar with.
Well, it's the Doctor that it's the Doctor that we, even in the first Doctor, it's the Doctor we eventually get to with the Romans and the meddling monk. I keep calling it the meddling monk, but it's the
Time Meddler.
It's that Doctor that we eventually get to, that is kind of coming out of that, kind of becoming more of the action adventure man Doctor.
It's kind of funny that we don't think of the first Doctor that way, when in the second episode of the series, period, he tries to brain a caveman.
Yeah, no, absolutely, but he doesn't do it.
But he doesn't.
That's
But
that's what it comes down on.
He attempts to brain somebody in this one, and he doesn't do it.
Well, he does. He actually does brain somebody in this one.
Does he?
He smashed the thing all over his head.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Twice, exactly. I was 2 times, too.
He's just not very good at it yet.
No, he's not very good. Well, he knocked him out the second time and got Susan out that time. But no, I don't know. I actually enjoyed this story. I think it could have been paced out a little better. I think it's a little slow. I think it suffers from maybe being a little too long.
I would agree with that.
There's a lot going on in there, and there's a lot of this that it's not mired in politics in the way that some Doctor Who's do get mired in politics, and gets a little down on it. But you still have to focus on the elements that are going on. You've got to focus on the allegiance that are happening here, because you've got Ian aligning with one group, you've got the Doctor aligning with another group, and then all of that kind of culminating later and all becoming one. And then you've got what's the guy's name who all along you're thinking is sort of minded one way, and then later he comes out and he ends up becoming an ally. I can't remember the guy's name.
Spencer or whatever his name was.
So there's a lot of these little twists and turns that are going on. So that was kind of nice, but you had to really kind of focus yourself on that, or you got lost in all that.
And I think this is a story that is better served watching in one chunk, as opposed to splitting it up in 2 weeks. I know it didn't air that way.
I disagree.
But I felt a very disconnect between the two halves.
Do you think
and,
that came more from the
and
fact that
part
we
of it-
came back from and into animation to kick off?
I think part of it was the animation.
That to me was the most
I couldn't
disjarring.
distinguish who was who.
Oh, see, that
In the
was the
animation.
most disjarring for me. But no, I actually preferred that we broke this one up, because I think if I'd have watched all 6 of these episodes as slowly paced as they were,
I think I'd have gotten bored.
I'd have got bogged down and bored with it. Yeah, I probably would have lost my attention.
See,
At least
I
this
think-
one, my attention span was just long enough to cover about an hour and a half worth of Doctor Who.
I think I would have been able to connect the dots better if I watched them all together.
What's interesting with this one is
It wasn't until episode 6 that I was like, oh, that's who that person is.
Yeah, something that you touched on is the way that this is done, because there are a lot of ideas. There's a lot of stuff going on. But we've kind of been given the breadth and scope of the French Revolution here, specifically the Reign of Terror period, and sending people to the guillotine. But we only really focus on any of it through the eyes of our characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We get some of the story through Ian. We get some of the story through the Doctor. We get some of the story through Barbara and Susan, who have all been split up. And this is what's going on in each of their individual things. And then it's kind of up to the viewer to put those threads together into one coherent picture of what all is happening.
But
There's very little.
Which is
I
a very
I can
interesting
say,
way to
though,
do
that
it.
the story does weave it back together
does.
in itself,
It does.
too. So it's not up to you to make sure that you've got all the pieces in place by the time we get to our climax. I think the story does a nice job of weaving it back together in the end.
Well, there are several Doctor Who episodes that we've watched where you almost have a B plot with the villain. And so
Sure,
the Doctor's doing one thing over here, and then we'll cut to the villain, and we'll get to see what he's doing over here. And sometimes it's the Master, sometimes it's Joe Blow who runs Planet X. And, you get bogged down in the politics of it. There's only I can't even say handful, because I think I could probably count them on one hand, number of scenes that don't feature one of our primary cast.
Yeah, that's true.
In this story. And I think because of the fact that we're dealing with the French Revolution, that's probably a good thing.
Well, and yes, and more so for the fact that we've got 3 separations
Yeah,
here as
3
well.
different
So
arcs
that
going
helps.
on.
Yeah, and it is our core characters.
Yeah.
Whereas in other stories where we do break away and we see what the antagonist is doing, it's usually because the Doctor and the companion are together, and that's their story.
Right.
Whereas this one, you've got a large enough cast of main characters, you're able to split
Well,
it up.
like the Romans, for example, where there's a lot of Nero.
No.
Again, not that I necessarily minded, because
because-
Nero is a fun character, but
because Barbara's there, too.
because Barbara was there. But Barbara was there. There were a lot of scenes of Nero
Without,
without
yeah.
Barbara, and there were a lot of scenes in. If Marco Polo existed in its entirety, I can only imagine that there were probably large chunks of what was happening while this was going on.
Well, I know that at least that's one of the ones like Chrissy. I listened to the audio for Marco Polo, so I've done the whole run the breadth of that one. And I know they cut away to Kubla Khan quite frequently.
Yeah.
And so you were finding out what his motives were and what was going on, and then cut back to the TARDIS.
And
group, so.
even the Aztecs, we get several
Yes.
segments of the High Priest.
Yes.
But you don't get a lot of the villain in this. You
Right.
get just, this is
Well,
our impressions of the,
it's-
the aftermath almost.
And it almost makes a conscious decision not to paint a villain in this
Yeah.
story.
Well, Robespierre's pretty well defined, but
I think that's
But,
why.
but I
though.
never
think
got the
that they-
impression that he was a villain in this story. Until you guys said that he was the one in charge and sending people, I knew he was in charge, but
you missed a lot in this story
apparently.
that was everybody was afraid of Robespierre.
well, I think maybe
were,
what it is the fact that you never see Robespierre. It's just
you see
name.
him occasionally. No,
Well, I mean,
well,
but
it's the
just-
white-haired guy.
right,
near
the
the
white-haired
end,
guy, but
yeah.
But not even at the end. I mean, we saw him throughout most of the the first animated story. There's a lot of dialogue between he and the Doctor. There's a lot
right
going on
when
there.
he first arrives.
Yeah.
But I
guess I didn't realize that's who it was.
Yeah, see, I could see where that maybe.
So the animation really caused the disconnect for you. I
Maybe,
think.
yeah.
'cause I
Even
don't-
though I like the style, I just couldn't connect who the character was.
I think you're going to be in the minority.
You are gonna be in the
I am going to
minority
be in the
on that one.
minority.
I don't remember a lot of Robespierre in parts 1, 2, and 3.
He's in the third
I think
story.
there's one segment
The
right
first
at the end
story,
when the
yeah.
Doctor arrives to see
well,
him.
the first story, I mean, that's all that farmhouse stuff,
Right.
and the
Well,
or the.
Which is a great cliffhanger.
Oh yeah, when it's in the fire.
I
It's a
liked
great
it.
cliffhanger, but a terrible resolution because
Yeah.
the Doctor's just suddenly outside, and little Javert is not Javert. What?
Go ahead, it's Javert.
Javert is the
Jean-Luc.
Javert's the other bad guy in Les Mis.
The little kid?
Yeah, I
want to
can't
name
remember.
him.
I can't remember the kid now. All right, but anyway.
Anyway, yeah, he's rescued.
The little
him.
kid has rescued him.
Yeah, fantastic cliffhanger, poor resolution
Yeah,
once again.
it's like, and we don't get to that for a while either. We don't know what's happened to the doctor.
Which
so.
I like that aspect
I did
of it
like
too.
that aspect of it because it's very
not
similar
the-
to Leisure Hive, where the doctor's old.
Javert.
Javert.
That's Javert.
And we don't get that immediate.
Oh, that's
fix.
I'm still saying it wrong because
I thought it was Javert.
Javert is the bad guy again. I went back to it again. No, it's Javert. No, it's not. That's the bad guy again. Never mind.
Javert. That's what it is. Anyway,
That's what this kid's name is now.
What the heck is that kid's name?
but Robespierre is in name the villain. Everybody talks through the first 3 episodes about Robespierre.
Brenda's
being the
shouting
bad guy.
at her
Yeah,
podcast.
she's breaking us out. But everybody talks about Robespierre being the bad guy, but we never really get to see. You don't.
You don't see him.
Gavron! Sorry, that's it. It's Gavron.
Gavron? That's the kid's name?
Yeah, it's Gavron. Sorry. Go on. I've got it.
Gavrock?
Gavron.
So the
Gavron.
like Van Gogh is Gavron.
Yeah, it's Gavron. Gavron.
That's that back of the French thing there.
It's Gavron.
There you
Proceed.
go.
I got it.
That's how you pronounce it.
But it's not
Knew
a
it was
French
going to come to
name.
me. Gavron is too.
Van Gogh isn't.
No, Van Gogh's not. But I'm just saying they use that back of the throat R is what they do.
As a
Or-
replacement
or-
for German or Dutch language, apparently.
Anyway,
Or back of the for F, not R.
I think maybe that's also where some of it suffers because you can't necessarily latch on to that one bad guy and know this is who I'm supposed to be rooting against because it's the Phantom Menace. It's name only Robespierre, and we get little glimpses of him, and then it's not until the doctor actually goes to see him that I kind of cued into. Oh, you're the guy everybody's been
Yeah,
talking
you're the bad
about.
guy.
You're not just some guy in charge. You're the guy in charge. And then he's dispatched of rather quickly toward the end when we have the revolution and they come and they shoot him in the face. But then he comes out not dead, which I thought was like almost worse. I don't know. There was this weird, like they marched into the ring and we cut to the outside of the room and we hear the gunshot, kablam! And it's like, wow, that guy's dead.
I thought the same thing.
I thought, well, okay, we're done with that. But then and I was okay with it. You know? But then they drag him out, and he's holding his jaw, and it's like,
Apparently that
oh my God, what happened? And the
they
visual
went Fight
of that,
Club with it.
Yeah, the visual of that was way worse than thinking the guy was dead. And then they drag him off to prison, and he's there. Oh, he won't be talking to you. I'm like, leave the poor man alone. Shot him in the face. I don't know. It bothered me. I went Mary
I
Whitehouse.
had no problem
on
with
it,
that.
but-
I thought, wow, they shot the guy in the mouth to shut him up. Is what they did. I mean, he was right up to the very end before they shot him. He was shouting those guys down.
So is that why the Fifth Doctor keeps picking up guns? Because he keeps looking at Tegan going,
Oh, no, don't go there.
I get it.
Oh.
Anyway.
All right, let's talk about the animation because that
let's
is the
talk about
elephant in the room.
Keith liked it.
I was okay with the animation.
Well, now that's far different.
Yeah, that's
than
far
I
different
liked
than
it.
I liked it because I was okay with
I was
the
okay with
animation.
it. It was animated. I didn't.
There were
hate it.
parts of it I liked. There were parts of it I didn't. I thought the close-ups on the face, when they were focusing on a face and somebody talking, I thought that was great.
I didn't like that. I liked the far off shots because the tight shots on the face they were number one far too long.
well,
They were far too long. And
how do we know that those shots weren't there that way in the original version?
we don't, but nobody does. So.
So I can't fault anything.
For the reason, well,
Hey,
for
man,
the reason,
artistic license.
for the reason that Chrissy so eloquently put, the Uncanny Valley effect. Did it play? I didn't know anything about this Uncanny Valley.
I
had no idea what
I
it
never
was.
heard of it, but
I learned
totally-
something today.
I
But
totally get it. And
that
I
is
understand.
completely what I felt when I watched it. Was that they were going for realism, and it was almost like they were going too far for the structure of the Doctor's face and all of the lines and wrinkles and the edges and
I thought
whatnot.
the lines were a little over the top.
So then to have that right there in my face, very large as a tight shot,
Not just close.
for long
extreme
periods
close.
of time, I'm having to deal with that. Not to mention that they don't quite move correctly because not only is it animation, which animation doesn't move fluidly like a person, but it's animation that has been you cut corners with this style of animation. It's hand drawn animation, but what you do is you take that and put it in a computer so that you can move the mouth and move the head, move the eyes, and you can do it in short stints as opposed to drawing out every one of these cells.
Right.
You do it in a computer, and so it looks very robotic to me. It looks very
Well, I thought
Move.
the other animations we watched felt robotic too.
They do, but they're simple enough designs that it's acceptable. These are going for the more realism. So when you've got the robotic moves with realism,
the impression I got,
it's that whole looking at these new Japanese robots that are coming out on the market, and they look so human, but they still move robotically. And it's like it's that uncanny valley. It's so unnerving because it's not quite right, because I'm looking at something that looks like a human, but it's acting and moving like a robot, and it's so that's where that little dip is in that graph.
Give Keith here a chance to defend his position.
I'm sorry. Yes,
I saw the animation as like cell animation style, Borderlands, but black and white.
Okay, I hadn't thought of that.
Where it's going for realism, it's going for 3D, but wants to be cartoon at the same time.
well, it's the same style though. I mean, they use the line drawn animation, put it in computer, and
make it 3D.
that way.
Yeah, and that's just how I viewed it. So I accepted it.
I like that. I don't. That's what I don't like about Borderlands. I don't like the style.
I like the animation style along with the gameplay. So
I think maybe the difference with that is with the cell shading. I can't say it.
The color adds a lot to it.
I think color adds a lot to it with Borderlands, and I didn't like Borderlands at first either with that particular style that the game's done in. But once I got used to it, I fell in love with it just because it totally fits the story that they're telling. It's a nice mash for that universe.
See, I simply got used to it.
Okay, well, it just once it was just showing up, and we're in Borderlands again. Here it is.
Something else Marvel related that was cell shaded that I liked, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, the most recent one was Scanner Darkly, which I haven't watched yet.
Well,
that's not Marvel, but
some of the
I enjoyed that one.
The new Spider-Man animated series is that way.
Is that?
Yeah.
I want to say something Hulk related came out cell shaded.
Planet Hulk?
I never watched that one.
I haven't either.
It's in my instant queue.
Anyway, so
but cell shaded is slightly different than rotoscoped, which
that's
is
true.
which is what Scanner Darkly is rotoscope because it's the same guy as Waking Life.
You're right. It's not cell shaded, but it just I didn't think about that now that you say that because it kind of looked almost like a wireframe that wasn't complete. When you see the behind the scenes documentaries and they're doing the wireframe animation of something that's going to be done by the computer, but it's not there yet, and it's just this is the framework. In a way, it almost looked like that. But I totally agree with Glenn on the too many extreme close-ups, the glossy eyeballs.
The eyeballs is something I had an issue with.
Were really just
there was way too much reflection in the eyeballs.
And you guys brought that up. I didn't have a problem with that. Strangely, I didn't.
I don't blame the animation as much as the cinematographer for the animation for the extreme close-ups and the length of close-ups.
Yeah.
It's not be a director issue. That wouldn't be a cinematographer.
Well, either way, it's not the animation itself.
The shots, the cinematographer composes the shots.
Well, yeah. Either way, it's not the animation; it's the director.
I go back to the animated Star Trek
either way,
which is done very simplistic,
Hanna-Barbera on the animation,
like Flintstones style, where it's just the mouth talking, and you may get a whole scene of talking heads, and below the neck nothing moves until all of a sudden they have to go across the room, and then it's
very Herculoids.
That space, the original Space Ghost,
that C-Lab 2021,
C-Lab, all that kind of stuff falls into that. Really, it all falls into that area.
Yeah,
and I think that kind of lends itself better to Doctor Who than and I go back to the differences between Infinite Quest, which I liked, and Dreamland, which I didn't.
This almost had more of a Dreamland vibe to it. I could see that
because of that computer, and I just don't like it. Specifically the extreme close-ups on the face, and what Chrissy was saying with this uncanny valley, because it just didn't look natural. Did anybody else think there were times when the Doctor almost looked like Yoda? Because he was so...
I never got that.
The lines in his face and the fact that it was such an extreme close-up, I felt really made his face look oblong.
Well, your TV makes his face look oblong because you've got it stretching a 4:3 ratio to 16:9.
Was it stretched?
It was
supposed to
stretched.
be.
It was stretched.
It must have.
No,
It's always
remember,
stretched.
I had it reset before
it
we
was-
started.
Oh, did you? Because
but-
it's
It was several months ago when we
it's
first
been
started doing
stretched
Friday
the
Night
whole time.
Who.
Why did you say something?
It's been stretched the last few times because I don't.
You guys watched a classic Who, and it cut off part of it when it was 4:3, and when you put it to 16:9, it didn't seem to cut that off. It stretched
How
it
did
a
it
little
cut
bit.
it off?
That's what he said.
Wow, wrong. Your TV's messed up because
It's
it shouldn't.
no, it's this Blu-ray
shouldn't
player.
It shouldn't have messed. It shouldn't have cut anything off in 4:3 because
I do remember that now that you say that. It looked weird in 4:3 because there was something with the title.
There was something he missed.
cropped.
It was a week he missed.
Anyway,
And they went back and
maybe I need
rewatched
to
it.
go
anyway,
back.
that was part of the reason I thought it was
Well,
stretched.
okay, first of all, if we're watching a classic series Who and it's not 4:3, please let me know. Because I get to the point where the kids watch stuff and I have no idea what it's set for anymore. I just ignore it. But because I'm so attuned to watching things in widescreen that I don't notice TV shows that aren't that way anymore.
That's too bad because when it's not shot in widescreen, it's very painfully obvious when it's in.
See, I'm the
16:9,
reverse.
so-
I know if I'm watching a widescreen that's been cropped like a pan and scan, it
Well,
drives me absolutely
oh, sure.
bonkers.
Pan and
But
scan,
me
I,
too.
I
It's
don't
different.
notice the stretching.
notice the stretching. Yeah.
So please kick
don't
me or
notice the stretching
something.
either.
No, I do.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
well, please say something so that I can fix it.
You told me that it was your DVD player cut it off the sides, and sorry. I wasn't getting the full image, so I wanted the full image, so I will excuse the stretching.
Okay, but at any rate, I was not. Now, here's the interesting thing: the wide shots when they moved, I didn't mind those. I thought that looked actually pretty good because it reminded me of Heavy Metal. You remember Heavy
Yeah.
Metal?
Oh, yeah.
The old
Yeah.
It kind of had that feel to it, where it was not quite a fluid, but it wasn't
Right.
meant to be, and I enjoyed that stylistic choice. But then we would immediately go
I don't.
back to a close-up.
I almost don't think that was a stylistic choice as a technological
Well,
choice.
either way, it looked good. I didn't mind that part, and the action scene was, I thought, really cool.
Somebody tweeted that was
What
probably
didn't
better.
you think was
The wide shot movements.
in this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant in Heavy Metal. No, that was a style.
No, that that may have been, but in
All
this,
right.
I don't know
Yes,
if it was.
No, you're probably right. I don't think it was.
Now,
It was a
And some-
limitation, is what it was.
And as somebody tweeted, that action scene was probably better
think it was-
in
me.
animation. Was it?
Yeah.
It was
actually.
better in animation. I mean, I'm sure it was better in animation than it was in real life action. The other thing I think that Chrissy pointed out, Friday Night Who, is she kept saying about jump cuts, and I didn't feel that there were any jump cuts. There were too many quick cuts.
There were a lot of quick
a
cuts.
lot of
They
quick
weren't
cuts.
jump
Quick
cuts.
but they weren't jump cuts. And,
Should we clarify what
well,
a jump
yeah,
cut
'cause
is?
a jump cut would be going from a character doing one thing and then cutting to that same character in a totally different location doing something totally different or in a different position. That's a jump cut. A quick cut is going to a shot to the doctor, then going to Robespierre for like half a second and then coming back to the doctor or cutting to the guard at the door. And when if
There
your
was-
brain doesn't have time to process the image, it's a quick cut because it's done way too fast for your brain to.
And there was a lot of that, and I didn't like that aspect
We
of
went
it.
through a whole realm of films in the mid 2000s that were all about jump cuts or not jump cuts, quick
Quick
cuts
cuts.
that just to mess with your mind so you didn't really see you didn't see the man behind the curtain is basically what it was. It's lazy
it's lazy filmmaking.
filmmaking is what it is.
Because you're trying to shock me.
as good as the films are, the Bourne Identity suffers from quick cuts, and that's
Yeah, I
not the
agree.
right way to shoot a movie.
Well, somewhere along the line, it became acceptable.
Quantum
to shoot
Solace
action
is another
scenes
one of them
that way, and it's not.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not
I
acceptable,
hate that
no.
in action scenes
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Luckily, we're trending away from that.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully. Well, oh no, but now the new thing is documentary style shaky cam.
Yeah.
Stop it. Introduce you to a tripod. Put it on there and leave it alone. Anyway, so and again, I don't
Spielberg
want.
was doing that in Schindler's List though too. So
I don't mind that.
But
It's-
that's an appropriate use of it. And
Yeah.
you didn't use it through the whole thing. Saving
Sometimes
Private
it
Ryan.
is. Yeah, Saving Private Ryan
Omaha
was one of
Beach.
those
Okay,
too.
I'll buy it, but you don't need the rest of the movie. So, I don't want any of our comments to take away from the fact that Reign of Terror is animated. I don't care.
I'm
that
the same
it
way,
wasn't,
yeah.
You know,
yeah. We have the entire story now.
it wasn't Disney.
I would
It's not
I
even
would-
DreamWorks, but
I
it's
would
something.
rather see Stephen Moffat's 7-year-old nephew animate these and have them as animation rather than not have them at all. So
I'm
that's
totally
just
going to stick figure draw one of the ones that has no parts.
Absolutely.
This is completely, they've not recovered any of it. It's all gone.
We're going to South Park the whole
gonna
Big Finish
flip
thing. So.
Well, there you go. Stick figure the Big Finish.
Stick figure the Big Finish. No, I'm glad that it's there. I'm glad that we have the option of watching it. Now, this doesn't have the recons on it, does it?
No.
It's just the animated.
Just
version.
the animated.
Interesting. But I'm glad that we have the ability to see it, because I think Reign of Terror is an important story, and I think it's an important benchmark for Doctor Who and the First Doctor. I agree that I wish there were things they had covered, like Susan's line drop about, this is grandfather's favorite period of Earth history. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the man who...
Or gone back to later.
From the man who's always kind of put the rose-colored version of humanity on with the glasses, why would this be his favorite version?
And certainly,
because
could
he's
have
rooting
easily,
for the revolution?
it could have easily been for the sheer fact that it's interesting that one society would trade one tyrant for another. I mean, it's just something as simple as that is why it's his favorite. It's an interesting character study. It's an interesting study on society, on a culture, on a civilization. I mean, that's really anything. Any little line after that for why would have just completely made a huge impact on me anyway.
Yeah.
For why it was one of his favorite.
And maybe I mean, obviously, we're looking at it backwards through the lens of history what everything that's come before, and they didn't necessarily know that they didn't know that this was going anywhere back then. Yeah. So
good.
I would have liked a little more to that.
All right, I really don't have anything else about.
I
the
don't
story.
either. I think maybe we ought to launch into our kind of a retrospective here. Now, unfortunately, we're going to do this a little bit of a disservice, but it's not to anybody's fault whatsoever, because we're only 2 years old, basically, this podcast, and there's only so much we can do as far as the Will and Hartnell era.
And unfortunately, there's only so many that exist.
Yeah, well, then that's the other thing it boils down to is we're doing this in pieces, and we're introducing Keith as we go along, and there's a lot that doesn't exist right now. So
what we're going to do is, I want to have just a moment where we kind of take stock of where we're at. And in celebration of the 50th anniversary, let's really let's talk William Hartnell's Doctor. Let's talk the First Doctor era. And there's a lot that we could discuss. And unfortunately, a lot of that is gone. Where we're at in the proceedings, because we are traveling the Vortex and kind of bounce around, I think we should limit the conversation to episodes that we've seen, episodes we've exposed Keith to. And we put a poll on our Facebook page and asked our listening audience, what they thought. What was, if you had to pick one, not your favorite, because that's too easy. Well, for some of us it's easy, for some of us it's easy. But not your favorite William Hartnell episode, but the one that you feel kind of best represents his Doctor or his era of Who. What would you pick? And we actually had somebody vote for one that we haven't reviewed yet, which is the Censorites, and that's Michelle. And I'm curious to know why, but
well, I'd like to revisit that question with her when we
get to it. And
this is one that I have seen, and
I've seen bits and pieces. Well, actually, I think I've seen most of it, but not all in one sitting.
Oof.
But
sorry,
spoilers. But I can tell you, Michelle, I have hopes of getting it on the schedule later this year. That we will get to the Censorites. But as of right now, the choices for what your favorite episode would be with William Hartnell, or not favorite, but
best representative.
Best representative. We have An Unearthly Child. We have the Daleks. We have The Edge of Destruction. We're going to go ahead and include Marco Polo, because we've seen and you've listened to the whole thing. Keith and I have watched the 30-minute recon. The Keys of Marinus. The Aztecs. The Reign of Terror, now that has been reviewed tonight. The Dalek Invasion of Earth. The Rescue. The Romans. The Web Planet. The Time Meddler. And
The Gunfighters.
The Gunfighters.
Yeah, that's it.
Now, of the Facebook responses, It was fun that we got. I mean, the Romans got some votes. The Daleks got some votes. Marco Polo got votes. Glenn cheated. He voted for all of them. And I totally. I'm going to go ahead and launch into this because I'm going to start. I totally was going to go Unearthly Child because it's the one that I've seen the most often, and it so to me sets the stage for what is to come. And then I read something that really made me rethink that. And it was our discussion about Dalek Invasion of Earth when Susan leaves at the end, and now all of a sudden the Doctor becomes the man of action. And that because he no longer has his granddaughter to keep in tow. And I mentioned that at Galley, and I think they got some responses from people in the Good Man Goes to War panel. And this was kind of along the same lines for me. It became such a crystallizing moment that as I've seen episodes with Susan and episodes without Susan, the Doctor to me is such a different character after that. And I really feel like he loosens up and doesn't have her to worry about. And as you said, Glenn, that you feel like the first Doctor's era is mainly we land, we get into trouble, we run away from it. And I think it's because he's rescuing Susan.
Early on.
I think it very much is we've got to get Susan out of danger, that's his mindset. And that once she's out of the picture, it changes. He can have fun. He can go with the flow. He doesn't necessarily have to deal with it. I'm not saying that Susan was bringing him down. I'm just saying that as a grandparent, as a parent, it
had to be a bit of an albatross, though. I mean, it had to be a bit of a...
As a responsible adult for... Well, got why too big? It shorted out. Having this other person that their welfare that you were purely responsible for, that he couldn't do that. Now, Barbara and Ian, on the other hand, he can still write them off from the standpoint of, you forced yourself into my TARDIS. It's not my fault that you're here. And even the later companions...
Although he's the one that...
he
actually TARDIS up.
Kidnaps them.
Yeah, he essentially kidnaps them. But, he has that rationale. And so for me, it's Dalek Invasion Earth. Not because it's a Dalek story. Not because it's a 10-part or however long it was. Not because of the massive events.
10. I think
however,
it was 7
it
or
felt
6.
long. It was. I guess it is only a 6.
Yeah, I think so.
Daleks is 7. Did you know it was 7? I didn't know it was 7. But for me, that kind of became the crystallizing moment. So to sum up the first Doctor era, I've got to go with that because it's the linchpin for me. Because I've really latched onto this idea and built that up. That's when the Doctor becomes the man we begin to know. And I think it's interesting that David Tennant in the first Doctor has revisited special mentions. We always refer to him as the first Doctor, but who knew then? I mean, he was just the Doctor. This is who the guy is. And so to see that kind of progression, only 10 episodes or 10 arcs in, I think is kind of a huge change for the character. So that's my pick for it, but I'd be interested to know what you guys think.
I'm going to let Keith go because I don't want to steal his thunder. I think we're going to agree.
Is it Celtic Thunder?
Ultimately, yeah. I think we're going to ultimately agree on the same one on this one. But I have some caveats.
I have my favorites, but it's not my best. It's not my representation of the first Doctor.
Okay.
Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, my favorite is Time Meddler. But I think almost more a good representation would be the Keys of Marinus. I enjoyed the story, and it kind of shows the Doctor, Susan, Barbara, and Ian in their prospective lights, and gives the Doctor some man of action roles.
Okay.
It's kind of the transition point from Unearthly Child to the Romans. And all of him becoming more of a man of action.
I see that, yeah.
That's why I think of this more representative is...
Did you vote for that one?
I don't think I voted at all.
You voted at all.
Because I couldn't.
He was holding his cards close to his chest till he got here.
Apparently. Actually, you voted for 2 too. You voted for Dalek Invasion of Earth and the Time Meddler.
I like those two a lot. I like Dalek Invasion of Earth a lot. It was a really enjoyable story. Daleks, not as much. Well, enjoyable for other reasons. But I don't know. There's something about this story that keeps me going back to say, okay, this is the first Doctor. It's him grumpy. It's him man of action. It's a little bit of everything in this story. Who he was and who he's to become, included with his most iconic companions. That's the best defense I can give for this story. And overall, the story itself isn't bad.
Unless you're Sean. He didn't like it as much as we did.
I know I did.
We enjoyed it a lot.
You guys really enjoyed it, and I feel like maybe I missed out on the party. Like maybe I need to watch it again. That's how. Wow, what did I miss? Because you guys really liked this story. I can see where you're coming from, because I guess it is really the first.
It's really, from what I've seen, the first example of the Doctor being the man of action too. The first glimpse of the Doctor that I know and love after Susan leaves. This is the beginning of that development of the man of action, of the I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I'm not going to let Ian or somebody else do it for me.
Yeah.
This is where it begins for me, at least.
This is the one where he warns him off of the acid pit that's waters that web planet.
That's this one, yeah.
So this is the first one
where they're in the pods, come down on the beach, and yeah.
This is the first one where he kind of has a little bit of humor to him as well. That's not
absolutely
grumpy bear. It's obviously not to the Romans or Time Meddler.
Yeah.
It also is in the same respects that it kind of shows the glimpses of how he's going to become more of a man of action. It's also, for me, this story was in the glimpses of how, you know how the Doctor lands somewhere and he figures things out quite rapidly.
Really
he starts to piece things together. That's the Doctor we know. But it seems like Hartnell's Doctor, for so many stories starting out, landed and everything was a mystery to him. He didn't know what was going on. It seemed to take him a lot longer. It was more cumbersome for him to kind of piece things together and kind of put together what was going on in each of these places.
Even slightly after the story, he still has that.
Keys is that one where you kind of get the glimmers of he's really kind of putting the pieces together as we go here. He's the one that figures out the acid pull. He's the one that figures out the everything that's kind of going on, especially the court scene in the fifth story, where he is representing Ian, right? Yeah, Ian. Yeah. So it's that whole, you get the cunning, clever Doctor here. You get some of that. It's not where we get to later. And so this is one of those things that not only are we getting sort of the man of action Doctor, we're also getting another element that defines the Doctor as we know him. So you sort of get those pieces, and so I see where Keith's coming from with this story.
And this is another story where it's 6 parts, but it doesn't feel like 6 parts because we're changing locations so often, and it's an idea and template for the Key to Time later.
Keys of Marinus certainly does benefit from the fact that
we're changing locations. We're constantly moving. And that, to me, feels more like Doctor Who than any of the other.
I guess I just don't like the quest kind of, unless you're really going to flesh it out and give it like Key to Time, where you have a whole season to deal with each individual story.
And that's the thing.
I don't like the land, touch on it, and move on.
The Key to Time, while some of the stories were great, rewatching it, we all agreed that they could have been cut down a lot more. And that's where this benefits.
What was the Sixth Doctor Big Finish that we just did recently, where they had to go after the three treasures of...
Oh, the one with Mel.
The one with Mel. The Sixth Doctor and Mel.
Oh, the one Doctor.
The one Doctor.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to like that once they announced this was, this is the quest.
But then you did. Quest.
But you
okay, but then I was there, so
you're okay with it in that sense, though, because you've got an underlying humorous story going on too. So you've got something that's sort of distracting you from the fact that we've got that piecemeal adventure, 3 different locations, 3 keys, three pieces. You've got the really good interaction and humorous story that's going on there, and I think is a bit distracting from the idea that we're doing that.
That could be.
So.
That
may be why.
And this one, I also like the fact that they split up.
Yeah.
And go off and do their own
first one
missions.
They really split up.
Yeah.
And, that we really don't have all of them adventuring together. So, I mean, we do have that a little bit in the Daleks because we got the Doctor and Susan who go to the Thalls to the front door, and we've got Ian and Barbara who go with the Thalls to the back door. So you've got a little bit
giant
of a
gap
difference there as well. But I read something about Keys and Marinus. I read something about Keys and Marinus in here that I thought was really interesting. That kind of hit the nail on the head for me. Is Keys and Marinus is like those adventure serials from the 40s. Where
I could see that.
You were here, and then you were here, and next week you were here, and they were only 15 minutes long. And it was a one big long adventure that was in different locations from beginning to end, but it was still all one story and one ultimate goal. And I thought, you know what, Keys and Marinus really was done that way. And I think maybe that's what I liked about Keys and Marinus is it kind of has that adventure serials feel. It kind of has that we're going to step from one place to the other, and then we're going to culminate it with one big, finish.
Like in Indiana Jones.
Or
Buck Rogers / Gordon.
Yes,
kind of.
Exactly. Those are the. And I thought, that hits the nail on the head. I think that is exactly what Keys and Marinus was. It was a Saturday afternoon adventure series from the 1940s.
Now, is that your pick for?
Well, no, it's not. Surprisingly, I thought we were going to go to the Time Meddler. No.
See, that's the thing, because here's why I didn't choose the Time Meddler. Is because so much is missing after that.
Do you want me to say why I picked the Time Meddler before you argue against it? Or?
Well, okay, go ahead.
Well, my dissertation is going to get a little tad long, because the reason I voted for everything on that list is because I really sat down and I started thinking about the First Doctor's era. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Because, I'm not quite sure which story really is the quintessential story for this Doctor.
Even the question itself is loaded. I mean, I went with what I feel is a pivotal moment, but does that necessarily mean that episode is best representative?
You asked me which second Doctor story is the quintessential one, I'll answer it. You ask me which is the third, I'll answer it. Fourth, I'll answer it. Be a little harder with the fourth, but I'll answer it. The fifth, I'll answer it. The sixth, I'll answer it. I really feel like that all of those Doctors, all the way up to Matt Smith, have a quintessential episode. I have a hard time picking one for the First Doctor. And I think it's because the First Doctor has the unique advantage of being the first Doctor and the biggest evolution of a story. Because we came from a guy in a junkyard with his granddaughter kidnapping two teachers to the 10th planet, where we've got two completely different companions. We now know he's from Gallifrey. We've met an arch nemesis. We've met a nemesis from Gallifrey. We've expanded so much about the character development about this one character that it's really hard to say this is the one that defines you, because you've got the Unearthly Child. I go to the first story of that one, and everybody says, "Oh, just watch the first story. Don't watch the cave stuff." I disagree with that now, because I got to thinking about it. The first story, yes, ideally is the best one, because it really sets the groundwork and gets us off and running of what to expect. But I got to thinking about the story of the cavemen. While it's mired in cavemen politics, and it does really,
it's almost more representative of what's to come.
Exactly, it really does feel like it's dragging
A lot of politics.
For all of who to come.
The one thing I take away from the Unearthly Child is, I really feel the fear and desperation of a companion being pulled from their time, their comfort zone, and placed somewhere completely unfamiliar to them, and just how horrific and how uneasy that would feel for a companion. If anything else, that story really drives home the gravity or the weight that the companion is placed in their first adventure. You don't see that in any other Doctor Who story. You have little echoes of that in some. And in fact, it's not until the end of the world with Rose that I think there's a moment of gravity. That all the other companions that join don't really have that moment of, wow, I can't believe I've gone from my comfort zone to peril. Nothing else exhibits that as well as the Unearthly Child. So I think that's...
Maybe Earth Shock.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Well,
Here I am plummeting to my
but
death.
that's the swan song.
But Adric had been traveling with the Doctor, so
That's
he
true.
has. That's what I'm saying. This is their first adventure. This is the first time that they're taken out of their comfort zone. So I think that lends the other theory. But that doesn't say much for the Doctor, as far as I'm concerned. So you move on to the Daleks, which we've already talked about how the Daleks is the reason the Doctor Who is still alive 50 years later is because of the Daleks. It was because of Dalek Mania. That in itself. That's all I can say about the Daleks. I don't think it's a quintessential Doctor Who episode. I think all it does is really paint the picture for who the adversary, who the main adversary is going to be from here on out. Edge of Destruction in itself is. These are all so different too. These first three episodes are so different. Edge of Destruction really is just that character study. It's within the all of it's inclusive within the TARDIS. So I don't know that you can really glean as much out of that, but you have the Doctor. His personality starts to kind of really evolve in this story. He's really kind of come to surface of who he really is. That it's not so much this selfish man that has this ego and is very protective of his granddaughter. You start to kind of get the relationship being built between he and Ian and Barbara in this story as well. So I think that works out as well. Marco Polo, I think it's just a cut and dry, there's just as much as I know about it from listening to it, it's just really a cut and dry historical. There's nothing that really, I mean, it's a great story, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing that really knocks it out of the park that says, okay, this is what the Doctor is. Keys of Marinus, for all the same reasons that you said, I think I'm not even going to go there again because I agree with those aspects of that, and I think I've said enough about that. The Aztecs is another one of those ones where
Which is your favorite.
That's my favorite, Hartnell Still so far. And that's, again, another one of those ones that I want to say, yeah, this is a quintessential one, but I'm not so sure it is because again, the Doctor is starting to expand. The Doctor is starting, again, his character is developing.
Growing.
Exactly. We're starting to get more of a personal relationship with Ian and Barbara and the Doctor and Susan. So we're starting to get more of a camaraderie of the gang. You're really starting to root for everybody as a team now. You don't feel like there are individuals in this group, that this is really now Team TARDIS. So... But that's what the Aztecs lend to it. And
you also get the time aspect
exactly. You get the idea that the Doctor is very stingent about, okay, there are fixed points in time. Time cannot be rewritten. You cannot, you can't step in here and change things because you will unravel the rest of time just by simply doing that from this point of view. Reign of Terror, I think, is a little bit the same with the Aztecs. While it's not as good of a story, again, a straightforward historical that kind of... even though the Doctor exhibits more of a violent streak in this one, maybe this is the one where you kind of realize that the Doctor's not maybe as pacifistic as you might have once thought or hoped that he was, or looking back through the, knowing the Doctor now and looking back at this, it's kind of a whoa, this is not quite. Dalek Invasion of Earth, I think that Sean's right. I think Sean hits the nail on the head here, that this is suddenly the most noticeable turning point in the Doctor's era, in the first Doctor's era, in the fact that now he no longer has to be responsible for doing it. I think you eloquently placed what my feelings is about Dalek Invasion of Earth. Again, not quintessential for me, but I think you hit that, so I'm not going to delve on that anymore.
It may be essential, but not quintessential.
Yes, exactly. Now, the Rescue and Romans, again, I think are these growing, developing... we're starting to expand again on the Doctor. We're being introduced to a new character. It's the first time we've gotten a new companion in Doctor Who, ever. I mean, this is the first time. And so she's kind of... She becomes the replacement for Susan, but she's not Susan. And that's very refreshing. And the Doctor, I think, takes her under his wing immediately, but not so much because he's trying to replace Susan, but for the fact that it's just a very nice click for them. They really click together very well, and I like that. But again, not quintessential. And we go through these Romans and Rescue. To me, those are the same. I mean, they really are together. There's so much. Web Planet, I'm not even going to go there because I really just don't think that's a good story at all. So that's all. Time Meddler is now my of all the ones that I have to choose now from, because of what we've limited ourselves to. Not on purpose. Not that it's a bad thing. Don't get me wrong.
There's only so much we can expect.
But I think the Time Meddler is suddenly the one story that tells us who the Doctor really is. And I think part of that is linked to the fact that we're introduced to someone of his own species, that we suddenly are... we see another TARDIS. We get the man of action doctor here. We get the Ian is gone. We get the Ian is gone doctor. The doctor has to do a lot more. We get the cunning doctor. We get the we're going to think things through. I've got a plan. We're going to and it's all of that that's grown in him from that point to this doctor. And unfortunately, I know a little bit more of the later stories, and that's why I tried
choose it.
I tried to frame this in what we know so far as us, but I can't do that, guys. I know enough about the Doctor and where he goes from point A to point B that I have to say that Time Meddler is everything that we evolved from in the first part of the first Doctor's realm, and it's also everything that I know about the Doctor from to the end. And so that's why I choose a Time Meddler, because I think it has all of the elements of the Doctor we knew before, and it has all of the elements of the Doctor to come as well. So that's where I come down on Time Meddler. Plus, it's an enjoyable story.
It's a very enjoyable story. I love this story, but that's why I didn't choose it for the first Doctor, is because I've seen one of the next 10 episodes.
Exactly.
I don't know this
It's
Doctor.
only one of two Steven stories you've seen.
Yeah.
So
that's all of what I know.
Well, and you've only seen
this and the Gunfighters.
Of the one of the next.
Sean was cringing. He thought I was going to go to the Gunfighters and say that was the
No. Unfortunately, of the ones post Time Meddler, I mean, there's the Ark, the War Machines, and the Gunfighters.
10th Planet will be.
And then eventually we'll get 10th Planet.
Which,
That's it.
and I have seen 10th
After
Planet.
that.
I have seen pieces of Dalek Master Plan. I've actually seen an episode of Galaxy 4 now. I have seen an animation of Mission to the Unknown. I don't know if you guys know this, but you would not be able to use Mission to the Unknown. I didn't realize this until I just watched this recently, by the way. You can't use Mission to the Unknown as one of your... If we had seen it, if it had been part of our purview here, you couldn't use it as one of the Doctor's quintessential stories. You want to know why?
He's not in it.
It's not a Doctor Light story. It's a Doctor Free story.
Really?
There is no main character in this story. It is completely set aside. There's no Doctor. There's no Stephen. There's no... who would have been at that time? Was it Dodo at that time? No, it would have been probably Vicky at that point. So none of them exist in this story. Yeah, it would have been Vicky. None of them exist in this story whatsoever. Because... I read up on this. I found out that Planet of Giants actually was supposed to be a 4-story arc and was cut at the last minute down to 3 stories. And so in order to fill the proper amount of stories out for the season, they actually went in and put Mission to the Unknown in. And what it is it's a prelude, even though it's 2 stories behind, it's a prelude or a setup to the Daleks' Master Plan.
It's 2 stories ahead.
That's what I said. Even though it's 2 stories... did I say behind?
You said behind.
I meant 2 ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Even though it's 2 stories ahead of Dalek's Master Plan, it is a prelude, a setup to the Daleks' invasion of... Basically, they're trying to take over the solar system at that point. So, anyway, just a little bit of...
story.
And I'm going to put this out there because it's out there. This was an Ian Levine animated story that can be found right now on Dailymotion. So get out there and look at it because it's really intriguing. And if it's a, I was saving this to this point here. If it is a shadow of what his Shada output was, Shada probably is very well done because this has that real rough, basic animation style. But really, for what it is, it's really well done. I mean, I'm very impressed by what I saw in this. So, anyway, and it's only 1 story. It's about 20 minutes long. So,
Dailymotion.
Dailymotion. Anyway, and it feels like I was cheating a little bit on that, but I just feel like we've come from one point to the other, and I don't think I can really pinpoint one, and Time Meddler has to be it because it's the midpoint.
If I could have seen more post-Time Meddler... I would probably agree with you.
Yeah.
Because it's still my favorite story is because we see the Doctor that we know and love in this story.
Right.
We see the elements completely.
Yeah.
Whereas before, he's just grumpy.
Yeah. And Sean's right. After the Time Meddler, there are really only 2 existing stories, and soon to be 3, because they'll animate 10th Planet. I have the benefit of having watched a lot of the Lost in Time, so I've got pieces of the episodes.
According to our Facebook poll, our listeners did pick Dalek Invasion of Earth as their most quintessential William Hartnell, with the Aztecs a very close second. And then the Rescue and Unearthly Child kind of tied for third. So I thought that was interesting. And everything kind of degenerates down into the one vote each segment after that.
Well, that was partly my fault.
Yeah, very much your fault.
Because he voted for all of them.
But I did think it was interesting. It was not what I anticipated the response would be.
I actually didn't think
like I said, I did not
would
have
become...
any intention of voting for that one myself. I totally would have gone a different way with that until I latched onto that idea. So I thought that was really interesting that's kind of what other people picked as well. Now, obviously, this is not a complete retrospective. We've kind of been calling it a retrospective inappropriately, maybe, for the First Doctor era, but just kind of to touch on, some of the different things that we discussed. And because it's the 50th anniversary, and, we make the rules, I'm sure we'll come back to this again later this year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Probably when we do our 11 weeks for 11 Doctors toward the end of the year. I think we'll come back with some more First Doctor stuff then, and hopefully we'll have maybe a couple more under the belt for Keith that we can go to.
I want to add real quick that...
Yeah, maybe we'll add censor rights in there. Sorry.
Glenn's Choice, I think, is a great story to introduce somebody to the First Doctor.
And I think that was another reason I went there, too.
I think that's a great choice.
Even though there's only 3 available stories after that. But still.
It's a good representation of the First Doctor and the Doctor we know.
Yes.
And that's why it's a good choice to introduce.
Well, it also... It does have that nice intro to it where the TARDIS lands and we come out and you don't know where we are and we're lost and oh no, I know exactly where we're.
What's
somewhere.
This helmet?
What's this helmet? Or maybe it's a space helmet.
It's a space cow.
It's a good kind of jumping in point to
the
universe too. Where maybe if you've only seen a New Who episode and you want to come back to this, and get that. But I can totally see, as Crystal said, the beginning. I still think that's a good point to jump into as well, because Unearthly Child, at least again the pilot, does such a good job of setting it up, and kind of establishing
and it. Really does.
It is different from what comes later, but it's there.
But you see the origins. That's more of anything. It's you see the origins of how this thing began.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with the folks over at BBC America that nabbed the Aztecs and threw it up there as their representative. I think it's a great choice. Uncertain about Spearhead for the Third Doctor, but these are all. I think we've come down fairly favorably on all of these episodes, and I guess I'm going to have to rewatch Keys of Marinus now. Not that I wouldn't have, but I definitely will have to look at it in a little more.
Honestly, after watching Reign of Terror, I'd be willing to trade you for
I don't
Keys.
own Keys.
Oh, you don't?
No, Glenn owns. I don't think I own Keys. Do I own Keys? No, you own Keys.
I have Keys.
Yeah, you bought Keys.
I would have traded you for Keys.
But now, what'll be interesting is, and so we're this is our capstone for February, really, even though we're recording in March. But this is our capstone for February, which is our celebration of the First Doctor. And if I may throw a shameless plug for the short story that I posted, there's my intent. Now, I don't want to get everybody all too excited. My intent originally was to go ahead and post a short story for each month, featuring each of the different Doctors as we work our way through the 50th anniversary.
And I have to.
I'm not going to get everybody's hopes up with that. That was my intent. That was my intent. It may not happen. In fact,
Well, I don't know how you're going to top this first one.
Yeah,
it was really good.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Hey, well, it's something that
it's higher than Cyberman Bob.
And much shorter.
Much shorter. Probably about a third.
It's actually
an eighth.
a short story instead of a novella.
Bob wouldn't die. He just kept coming.
He really wouldn't.
You didn't want Bob to die.
No, I kept trying to kill him. I was actively trying. I was looking for.
Subconsciously, you didn't.
Can I cause a cave-in? Can the Doctor wave the Sonic and just bring down the entire subway station on top of Bob? How can I get rid of Bob at this point? He wouldn't die. But yeah, it's on the. It's called Departure Time, and it is on our website if you're interested. And I would love feedback because, well, I'm a writer and I need my ego stroked. So even if you think it sucked, I'd appreciate that. So now that we are in March,
What's next on the schedule, Sean?
Second Doctor celebrations. Not for a little bit yet.
Oh.
We're going to make you wait. We've got. Let me get to my schedule.
Well,
here.
we might be able to do a little something for you next week. I'll let you know why.
Oh, okay. What is it?
Well, we had
Let us know why.
we had promised, or not promised, we had speculated that we could possibly review the second Doctor's Revisited special this week. I think that was
yes.
also, we were going to try to do that if we had
There was hope.
procured
There
a
was hope.
copy. However, I have procured a copy tonight.
Oh.
So we will watch that this week, and we will have a Second Doctor review next week so that we can put that on the schedule, and that'll be part of our Second Doctor.
It'll be the kickoff.
Yes, a kickoff for our Second
Well,
Doctor.
throughout the month of March, because everybody did First Doctor in January, so we're doing it in February. So now everybody did Second Doctor in February. We're doing Second Doctor in March. So it's all Patrick Troughton all the time. So
Unfortunately, we'll be doing Matt Smith in December.
Which is right in line for the Christmas special.
Yeah, there you go.
see how well I planned that
Yeah,
out.
right.
So we'll try and sprinkle some Patrick Troughton isms in throughout the coming schedules, and I'll throw one out there immediately. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but Daphne Ashbrook, soon to be friend of the show, Daphne Ashbrook, just put on her Facebook page. She had posted that she was watching the
She watched the BBC America,
BBC
Tomb of
America replay
Oh,
of Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
And she had posted a picture of Patrick Troughton with the caption, "Oh, I get it." And people flooded her with, What is the deal? And she admitted, she says, "I've never seen a Patrick Troughton episode before. He is phenomenal." And so she was a very big fan of Troughton.
very good.
From
Just
this point
from
forward.
that.
Just from that.
Terrific.
So it's kind of like,
Wow.
that's cool. You know?
Yeah.
So there's that. Next week for Friday Night Who, March 8th, we will be doing The King's Demons, which is a Peter Davison Fifth Doctor
You own
episode.
that, right?
I do own
Oh,
that.
good.
We're set.
I was hoping you weren't confusing it with the Damons, which I own.
Either way, we own it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I didn't know if you owned it, but I knew I owned the Damons, and I
Oh,
was
I see what
hoping
you're
that
saying.
you weren't
Okay.
confusing it, thinking, well, Glenn owns it.
Well, Glenn owns
and
it.
I don't, because I own the Damons.
The Demons.
Not the Demon, not the King's Demon.
The King's Demons, which is Peter Davison, and I suspect there may be a certain villain that we know and love coming back in that one again.
And a certain companion that we can finally talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the introduction. I looked at Wiki.
K9 2. And then
3 at that
we'll
point.
also be doing a Big Finish number 26, Primeval, to pair along with that. Which I believe,
Primeval?
Primeval.
Is that right?
Yep. Which I believe is the fifth.
I've listened to it.
I believe is the Fifth Doctor in Turlough.
Not recently.
Right? Fifth Doctor in Turlough, Fifth Doctor in Nissa.
Yes, I believe.
Maybe it's Nissa.
I think it's this. I'm pretty sure
It's a Fifth Doctor, which
No,
is
I'm
why
not 100% sure, but I think it's
I thought we
this.
listened to Primeval.
we haven't done Primeval.
I haven't done Primeval. Maybe you listened to it. but
Are you
we-
thinking of Land of the Dead?
I must be thinking of Land of the Dead.
Oh,
Which was
poor
also
Land
Fifth
of the
Doctor
Dead.
in
It
Nissa.
was also Fifth Doctor.
Yeah.
Next
and
week,
slightly Primeval.
I'm very excited because Friday Night Who will fall on my birthday, which is March 15th. For those of you looking to send me a gift, I'm registered
At the
Traveling the Vortex.
Traveling
Amazon
Vortex
store.
Amazon store, and would love a gift card or just send me an episode. And if it's one I already have, I'll deal with it. And we're going to be doing Ark in Space.
Yay!
Which I kind of feel
Finally.
Finally, yeah. I mean, you've even went out and watched this one on your own.
Well, we
you
watched
guys
it together.
together.
That one night.
Oh, is this not the one you did? Which is? Oh, you did Revenge of the Cybermen. That's
Yes.
that you did with that. Yeah, we
Yeah,
went,
but you and I one night when we were rooming together watched it,
and I fell asleep. And
Yeah.
you finished it.
and I was glued.
I was really tired. So you'll actually be able to, feel like you can tweet along with no worry of missing anything this week because you've
Exactly.
And then the next week we'll be reviewing Ark in Space along with, I'm very excited, the Big Finish Fourth Doctor Adventures #1, Destination Nerva.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a tie-in there. So,
Ooh, really?
and then continuing with our Troughton discussion the following week is the Mind Robber. Finally, because everybody's requested it, we got it on the schedule, and then we'll talk a whole bunch of Troughton stuff in
Whole
his
bunch
second.
of Troughton.
Whole bunch of Troughton
Whole
lined up
bunch.
then, so.
Whole bunch.
And then it's time for New Who. So
Right. All right. Anything else then that We need to.
I think so.
No more housekeeping. All right.
No more housekeeping.
Well, if that's going to do it for this week, until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
It's never raining then.
Be seeing you.
Good night, everyone.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.